And we are live for week 16. How's it going, everyone? Love to see. We already got a lot of people in the comments. It is Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates. It is the fantasy football semifinals in almost every single league. We've had several games already under our belt, but so many more to come. It's going to be a fantastic Sunday. We got 3 games tomorrow as well. So not our typical slates today. I'm pumped to get after it, guys. There's already some questions I want to get to in the comment section. We're going to get to all the comments today. We're going to talk about every single player. We're going to talk about every single game. We're not going to miss a thing. All right, let's start out with this question here. I think this one was about, let me pull up the tight ends. The tight end tiers, guys, I think it's as clear as day to me heading into week 16, who you need to be starting at the tight end position. And yeah, you're going to be rocking with Travis Kelce if you have Kelce. But then it's McBride and then it's Njoku. And I really think you need to be starting both these guys in almost all situations. We're going to do these comparisons right now. Here it is from Alan. Talking about TJ Hawkinson versus David Njoku. McBride and Njoku, guys, they're on the same tier, in my opinion, as Travis Kelce today. I still would start Kelce over them. Hawkinson's catching passes from Nick Mullins. And Hawkinson did fine last week, still 12.3. We haven't seen a huge Hawkinson game, not a game over 20 points since week 10. I mean, man, there's a lot of green here on these Hawkinson game logs. But then you take a look, you take a peek over at Njoku, and there's not going to be as much green, still a lot. But back-to-back games, we got David Njoku going over 25 points. And now he gets a matchup with the Texans, who have not been very good against tight ends. You got to start Njoku. Look at these matchup differences here, too. Oh, this is a revenge game here, too, for TJ Hawkinson against the Lions. Did not factor that in. Hawkinson's been great all season. I think Njoku's a better option this week. They're both good options. They're both in my top 2 tiers. If you're watching live on TikTok, Hawkinson versus Njoku. But yeah, I'm leaning Njoku. He's back-to-back games over 25. He's been Flacco's favorite target. The Browns were throwing it so frequently with Flacco in town. All right, then we got Denver or Dallas. Yeah, so let's go take a look at the spreads. I'd be careful with the Dallas defense against the Dolphins. That game's projected to be the highest scoring game of the week. Actually, the over-unders come down a little bit on that game, which is pretty interesting to see. Let me adjust the phone here for the TikTok live. Struggling a bit here. Sorry, guys. That should work. All right, we're back. Yeah, it's Njoku over Hawk for me. All right, let's get back to some of these starts. Shout out to everybody in this YouTube live right now, by the way. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Guys, I'm telling you, we're talking about every single player, every single game on this live stream. Yeah, so Bijan Robinson. Let's talk about Bijan. Let me pull up. Sorry, I got no rankings up for you guys on YouTube live. I apologize. Started a little bit late today. I got to get the rankings up. We got to get after it. But the running back situation today is pretty tough. I think there's some really difficult decisions. Like, I don't feel good about Derrick Henry at all today. Just some weird commentary after the game last week. Like, it was the end of his career for the Titans. It's like, dude, you got 2 games left. I kind of think it won't be surprising if we see Tyjae Spears get more work than Derrick Henry today with the commentary after the game last week. Meanwhile, like, it's not even going to be a new thing. Guys, Tyjae Spears has played over half the snaps in 3 straight games. We've seen throughout the whole season in games where the game script is not positive, meaning the Titans are not winning, Tyjae Spears plays more than Derrick Henry, and we definitely could see that today against the Seahawks. But Bijan Robinson, certainly one of the most difficult fantasy decisions of the season here. We got Bijan starting to heat up a little bit before last week. He takes the worst game of his season at the worst possible time. Actually, he had a 0.3 game back in week 7 against the Bucs. He followed that up last time with a 12.2 game, 12.2 points after he had less than a point earlier this season. He had at least 10 in the 4 previous games. Like, Bijan, I think, needs to be started in a lot of situations. Let me go to the running back tiers here on the TikTok live. Bijan's got to be started. I'd start Bijan over Mostert. I'd start Bijan over Josh Jacobs. I'd start him over Brees, over Ty Chandler, over Derrick Henry, over David Montgomery. I would not start Bijan, though, over Aaron Jones, over Tony Pollard. I would not start Bijan over Saquon, over Achane, over Singletary, over Kenneth Walker. I'm not starting Bijan over any of those guys. I wouldn't start Bijan over Gibbs or Pacheco or Etienne. I'm not starting Bijan over Zeke either. Ezekiel Elliott needs to be started this week, by the way. There's really no way around benching Zeke. You got to start Zeke. Ayuk or Adams PPR. Yeah, this one's close. I'll go to the wide receiver tiers here on the TikTok live. We're live on YouTube and TikTok as always. We're going to be live right up till kickoff today. We are going to talk about every single player, every single game. Shout out to everybody in this live stream. Seeing a JT or DK question here, you got to start JT. You have to start Jonathan Taylor this week, 100%. You need to start him. There's no Zach Moss. There is Jonathan Taylor this week. All right, Ayuk or Adams. Yeah, so I got my wide receiver tiers up here. I got Ayuk 2 spots behind Adams. Let me pull up the wide receiver rankings here on the YouTube live for all you guys to see. I got Ayuk 2 spots behind Adams. I think Adams is a bit safer, just target volume-wise. Let's do this comparison here on the YouTube live. Adams is not getting a very easy matchup this week against the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense has been pretty good. Yeah, this is a close projection here, but Adams has been getting absolutely peppered with targets. He's got 22 targets in his last 2 games. Look at these target share numbers here for Devontae Adams, over 34% in 2 straight games. If you zoom out to the last 5 games, Devontae Adams has hit at least a 34% target share in 4 of his last 5. In the 1 game he missed, he still had 7 targets, still 22% target share. Still went 5 for 73, finished with 12.3 points. I mean, the floor is just so elite right now for Adams. I think you got to start Adams over Ayuk. I'm excited for this 49ers Ravens game. Definitely the game of the week. I'd argue it could be the game of the season. Even in a week with the Cowboys playing the Dolphins, that's a fantastic game as well. This game is just going to be so great. 2 legitimate Super Bowl contenders here. I feel like the Cowboys and the Dolphins are a little bit fraudulent Super Bowl contenders. I don't see either of them actually, competing for the Super Bowl. Anyways, that game should be fun too. But Ayuk has been a little bit more boom and bust than Adams. He's actually been more consistent than maybe I'm giving him credit for here. Only 1 game under 10, and that happened to be last week. But the Ravens secondary is good. I would go Adams over Ayuk. Definitely a close one, though, there. All right, let's get back to the start state questions in the comments. Let's get back to, Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs. You got to go Josh Jacobs. Swift, Achane, or Monty, pick one. It's Achane for me. I like Achane a lot today. I really think Achane should be in a lot of starting lineups today, and I think a lot of people are going to make a mistake benching Devon Achane. Let's go through the Achane situation here. Walter Picks app has him at running back 14. I got him right around there as well. Let me go to the running back tiers again on the TikTok live. I got Achane. I actually have him after Singletary. Wow. Singletary projects 1 spot ahead in the Walter Picks app also. Look at these. Look at the difference of these curves, by the way. Let's go to a little math lesson here. Devon Achane has a much wider range of outcomes than Devin Singletary. This is what this is telling us. 35% chance for Devon Achane to go under 10 points, but a 21% chance to go over 25. That has got to be one of the highest boom percentages of all running backs. And it doesn't take rocket science to figure out why. Go back to week 3, week 4, week 5. He ripped over 20 points in all those games without huge volume. He had huge volume in week 3 when he had 51 points. We saw it again in week 13 where he had 25 points. We've seen Devon Achane finish as a top 5 running back 4 times this season. That's half of his games. He's finished as a top 5 running back. I don't want him on my bench in a game projected to be the highest scoring game of the week. Like I'm finding a spot for Achane. I think you need to find a spot for Achane. I think he's also Achane a great guy for DraftKings and FanDuel lineups this week. A pretty solid guy to look at for props as well. I like Achane a lot. He hasn't played that much in the last 2 games, but at least we have confidence he's at close to full health. He is, I think, off the injury report. I think he's still dealing with maybe a toe thing, but yeah, he's at over 4 yards a carry in all but one healthy game. I think you got to start Achane. I really do. I would start Achane over Singletary. I have Singletary 1 spot ahead of Achane here. Let's look at the Singletary numbers, though, because it's tough to bench Singletary right now with what he's been doing. His floor is really elite. He played 75% of the snaps last week, completely just took this backfield from Dameon Pierce. He's now gone over 100 yards in half of his last 6 games. The Browns defense has not been as good of late either. They were a really, really elite defense in the first half of the season. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. They have not been as elite. Like the first half of the season, I was terrified to play my fantasy players against the Cleveland Browns. It's just not the case anymore. We got Roshan Johnson. He had 10 points last week. Travis Etienne had 17. Corinne Williams had 20. I still think I'd go Achane over Singletary, though. I would go Achane over Singletary. My rankings disagree, but I would tweak my rankings there a bit. Kyler or Goff or Russell? Yeah, it's Kyler or Goff. You cannot start Russell Wilson. There's no starting Russell Wilson this week against the Pats. I think that would be a big mistake. Prop of the day, I got you, Dante. Kyler, going to get to your comments here in a second. We cashed the Tyler Higbee prop with ease on a Thursday night. I got another easy one for us today. We're 25-11 on the free player props, guys. We're going to go 26-11 here. Dalvin Cook, under 17.5 rushing yards is the free player prop of the day. Let me pull up the Dalvin Cook game logs here. They're declining. Dalvin Cook might not even get a carry today. I would not be surprised if he had 0 carries. I think there's actually a better chance. I would argue there's a better chance for Dalvin Cook to get 0 yards than there is for him to go over 17.5 rushing yards. He had 1 carry last week, and Abikanda Israel Abikanda, the rookie running back for the Jets, is playing more than Dalvin Cook. He's playing more than Dalvin Cook. Last week, he's getting phased out. There's no reason for the Jets to be handing Dalvin Cook the ball substantially today. Let me pull down this so you guys can see the full game logs here. 1 carry for 4 yards last week for Dalvin Cook against the Dolphins. He played just 17% of snaps. That was his lowest in over a month. And then if I pull up the Abikanda game logs here, Abikanda passes him in snap percentage, 38% snap percentage, 4 carries. He even got involved in the receiving game, which was actually pretty surprising. Abikanda, not known for his receiving ability, was a really good running back, though, in college. So, yeah, Dalvin Cook under 17.5. That's the free player prop of the day. Cash that one with me. It's gonna be an easy one. All right, we got some tough decisions this week. Goff or Tua, and I have McBride or Njoku. I got McBride over Njoku. I really like Njoku. I feel like there's been a bit of a tight end renaissance down the stretch here this season, where last couple of years, it's just been brutal. The tight end landscape has been brutal for fantasy. Not the case, really, down the stretch this season. I mean, there's a lot of very good tight end options. Let me pull up the tight end tiers here again on the TikTok live. But yeah, I like Kelsey, McBride, and Njoku a lot. I'm going McBride over Njoku, just barely. I think they're both really elite options. The floor and ceiling for McBride is just unmatched. I mean, this usage here, he has not been under a 20% target share for 2.5 months. The Bears are not very good against tight ends. Marquise Brown is out too today. He's the top receiving option in a game where I believe the Cardinals are underdogs too. Yeah, the Bears are 3.5-point favorites. I mean, everything's lining up for McBride. I think you got to start McBride for sure. So I put one in the flex over Josh Jacobs or JT. No, I'm playing JT over Josh Jacobs and JT over Njoku very, very easily. You have to start Jonathan Taylor today. There's no way around that one either. JT is a top 5, top 10 option, in my opinion. We got him ranked RB12 in the Walter Picks app. I'd put him in the top 10. There's a little bit of risk here just because it's JT's first game back after the injury. But there's no Zach Moss. And I think the other running backs maybe will mix in. He's going to get at least 15 touches, though, in this spot. Not the best matchup here for JT. That's probably why he ranks outside the top 10 in the Walter Picks app against the Falcons. They've allowed the second fewest running back points per game. But yeah, I'm playing JT over Njoku pretty easily. All right, let's get back to some of these start hits. Good morning, Sam. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well, Kylo, and everyone who celebrates. Pick 2 between Ridley, Debo, Zay, OBJ. Would love to hear what gift you have for us in the prop. Yeah, all right. I already got to the prop here. You got to start Debo for sure in this one. Debo, this is a pick 1. You got to start Debo Samuel against the Ravens. I think Debo Samuel's ceiling is just too large to ignore. And yeah, we got him at wide receiver 7 here, just behind Rashee Rice. Let me pull the wide receiver tiers here on the TikTok live as well. All right, and then get to these other receivers here. We got Ridley. I think Ridley's going to be the answer here over OBJ. I would start Ridley over OBJ and over Zay Flowers. 49ers defense is definitely a lot better than the Buccaneers defense. Yeah, it's not even close. I guess it's a little closer than I thought. But yeah, it's Ridley. You start Ridley here over Odell, over Zay. Definitely there's a low floor, I'd say, for both Odell and Zay. Tough to say which of those two guys will actually have the boom game. And Ridley, there's no Zay Jones today. There's no Christian Kirk today. This is a good matchup for Evan Ingram and for Calvin Ridley. Somehow, miraculously, Trevor Lawrence is playing today. He somehow cleared the concussion protocol incredibly fast. So yeah, you got to start Ridley. You got to start Ingram, especially because Trevor Lawrence is in. Brees or Pollard? God, I want to say Pollard. Yeah, it's Pollard. It's Pollard. You want pieces of this Cowboys. Sorry, that was Trevor Lawrence, by the way. I would go T-Law over Gardner Minshew. Sorry, I didn't get to that comment on the YouTube live. But yeah, I want pieces of this Cowboys and Dolphins game. I think you should want pieces of this game too. It has the highest projected over under, and it's not hard to understand why. I mean, both these offenses are very, very high octane offenses. Both these offenses can go over 30 points in this game, the Cowboys and the Dolphins. I think both teams, by the way, show up for this game. I know there's a lot of narratives out there. The Dolphins haven't beaten a real team. The Cowboys have done terrible on the road. Both those things are going to come to a head today, where the Dolphins are going to compete against a real team. The Cowboys are going to do okay on the road. I think either of these teams could win this game, but I think it's going to be a good game from both teams. Hey, Sam, I need one tight end and one flex from Goddard. Likely Ty Chandler, Gibson, either of the Bears running backs, or Tyjae Spears. For PPR, also, should I start Jets D or Bears D? Okay, so let's get to the first part of this question. It's Ty Chandler. You got to start Ty Chandler over all of these guys. And I like Tyjae Spears today, but Ty Chandler is as a significantly higher floor than all of these guys. Look, let's pull up the game log here from Ty Chandler. It's not a good matchup on paper for Ty Chandler, which is, a little bit scary, but the usage is just undeniable. And Alexander Madison's supposed to be active. He's not going to play much today. This is Ty Chandler's backfield. Ty Chandler's been better than Madison all season. He finally showed it with a bigger workload last week. 23 carries, 132 yards, and a TD. Also had 3 catches in that one. 24.7 points, running back 4 on the week last week. So yeah, it's Ty Chandler here. And then one tight end here between Goddard and Likely. Yeah, so let me put the tight end rankings here again. I think that it's Likely. Yeah, it's Likely over Goddard. It's close, though. It's definitely a really close call. It's close specifically because we've only seen Goddard back for one game, right? Let me see, 1 or 2 games now. I think it's just one, right? He played against the Cowboys and the Seahawks. 2 games we've seen Goddard. He had 9 targets last week, 30% target share, so that was encouraging. He's been under 10 points in each of his last 4 games. He's only had 2 games over 10 points this whole season. So, what's the real ceiling here for Goddard? Meanwhile, Likely is just playing the Mark Andrews role. He's gone over 10 points in back-to-back games. He's seeing significant target share. The matchup, I think, is better. Yeah, a little bit better for Goddard. Neither of these are good matchups here, though. I mean, actually, really bad matchups. Yeah, I'd go Likely over Goddard. It's close, though. And then Jets defense versus Bears defense. Again, let's look at the spreads. The best place to look, guys, when making defense decisions, go look at the spreads. The Jets are 3-point favorites against the Washington Commanders at home. And then we got the Bears, 3.5-point favorites at home against the Cardinals. A projected higher scoring game there, though. I think I'd go the Jets. I think I'd put the Jets defense over the Bears defense. They're both good options, though. They're both favorites at home against bad teams. All right, happy holidays. Sam, thanks for all your help this year. Thank you for tuning in. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, smash the like button. Seriously, it takes 2 seconds. I'm telling you, there's nothing I would appreciate more than just a quick like on the live. And seriously, especially early in the live stream, we're 20 minutes in. We got another 3 hours to go here. It really does help out a lot. It really boosts the stream. All right, pick 2 PPR here. Opponent has Purdy, Etienne, Ayuk. Yes, it's these first 2. And I don't think your opponent having Purdy changes that much. I try not to overthink some of these start-sit decisions based on who the other guys I'm starting or playing against. Sometimes I'll see, I'm also starting Purdy. Does that change your answer? And sometimes it does make sense to stack if you're down by a lot because it's a correlated upside play. But generally, just play the best players you have. Etienne and Etienne, I would play over Ayuk. Ayuk and Etienne are probably close. I really want to start Etienne today, guys. I'm telling you, he's been a top 5 running back in half of his games, and he's playing in the highest projected scoring game of the week. And there's just a lot less injury risk and concern as there has been in some of these past weeks where we had to make a tough call about Etienne. The ceiling is a top 5 running back here for Etienne. Ayuk has a ceiling as well. The Ravens defense has been good, though. I do think you really got to start Etienne. Etienne's back to full health. And yeah, Walter agrees with me here. It's close here between Etienne and Ayuk. But yeah, it's Etienne over Ayuk. Ty Chandler, Saquon, Etienne, K9, Pollard, start 1. Let's go back to the running back tiers here to get to this one from the TikTok live. We got Ty Chandler, Saquon, Etienne, Kenneth Walker. I think it's Kenneth here. I want to say Achane over Kenneth, but Kenneth Walker looked fantastic last game. I mean, he's back. Like, let's pull up the Kenneth Walker. I'm always a little bit scared with Kenneth because he is not the best receiving back on his own team. I hate playing running backs that have a questionable receiving role, especially in PPR leagues. But he led the team in receiving at the running back position at least last week and the week before that. He's got 7 catches in his last 2 games. He's running routes. He is running routes more than Zach Charbonnet is. He's playing over half the snaps. He had 19 carries last week against the Eagles, the number 1 run defense in the league. And part of the reason I'm really high on Kenneth Walker this week, look at his last 2 matchups. He's played 2 top 3 defenses against running backs. The 49ers, where he had 8 carries for just 21 yards, bad fantasy game, but still finished with 9.4 points because he had a huge receiving role, 4 catches, 33 yards in that one. And then last week against the Eagles, who have been the number 1 run defense in the league. The Eagles are the most pass funnel defense in the entire NFL. They have an extremely elite defensive line and an absolutely just terrible secondary. That's been the Eagles all season. And what does Kenneth Walker do? He flips that on its head. 19 carries, 86 yards, 4.5 yards per carry, plus a touchdown. Plus he added 3 catches for 26 yards. Again, a good receiving day. I think you go Kenneth. I'd rank these guys, Kenneth, Achane, Pollard. I think Saquon and Ty Chandler are in tiers below those 3 guys. I do like Pollard and Achane. They're in that same game that's supposed to be high scoring, but close. All right, and then PPR, pick 2 here. Gibbs, Pollard, Waddle, Devontae Smith. Yeah, these are some tough decisions. I don't think you can play Devontae Smith in this one. I think with Goddard back, Goddard seeing a 30% target share last week too, I would probably bench Devontae Smith for all of these guys. Let's see, Gibbs. I think Gibbs is probably going to be the answer here, by the way. It could be Waddle. If Smith actually ahead of Waddle. Yeah, it's Gibbs. You go Gibbs. You had to pick 2 here. Yeah, so go Gibbs and Pollard. I'd go Gibbs and Pollard. I'd bench Waddle and Smith. I think Gibbs and Pollard are good options in PPRs too. That they will catch passes. All right, Gus, Russ, or Love. Yeah, so I'm easily benching, by the way. Gus. Sorry, not Gus. Russ and Love. Let me go to the must starts, must bench. I think you need to bench Russell Wilson and you need to bench Jordan Love this week. Let's do this comparison quick. Goff was the number 1 quarterback last week. Goff is the only breath of hope I have in my remaining best ball teams is Jared Goff. My one best ball team remaining on Underdog had Jared Goff and Justin Herbert. Obviously, Herb's done. So in Goff, we trust this week. But Love and Russ, they have really tough matchups here today. We got Russ against the Patriots. The Patriots games have been low scoring just in general. The Panthers have actually been really good against quarterbacks. And part of the reason they've been really good against quarterbacks is the Panthers are so terrible against running backs. And then we get the Goff against the Vikings, a pretty good matchup here, like at least average matchup. So yeah, I would go Goff pretty easily. Let's get it. DFS lineup. Ryan, good morning to you. Shout out to everybody, guys, in this live stream. Seriously, if you're watching live on YouTube, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're going to talk about every single player, every single game. We're going to talk about the prop angles. We're going to talk about the DraftKings angles. And of course, we're going to talk about the start-sit decisions. There's some tough start-sit decisions today for sure. Before we get to the DraftKings lineup, really quickly, let me adjust this quick. There is 0 concerning weather today. Weatherman Sam is here for you guys. I've been here all season. We've been grinding through the weather, and there's no concerning wind. I think we might see like a tiny bit of precipitation today, maybe some low chance of showers in that Bears game, maybe some low chance of showers in the Raiders game tomorrow. I mean, that's it. There's nothing to be concerned about. 0 talking points around the weather today, exactly as we'd like it. So I don't have a full DraftKings lineup for you today. What I do have for you, Ryan, is the cornerstones I think you should be building around on DraftKings this week. So if you're playing on DraftKings, I think there's 1 of 3 quarterbacks you need to be starting. It's Fields, it's Dak, or it's Tua. I think Fields definitely has a chance to be QB1 on the slate and on the week, just in general against the Cardinals. There's no Deontay Foreman today for the Bears. Justin Fields could legitimately put up running back 1 numbers. It wouldn't be shocking at all for him to go over 100 yards, multiple rushing touchdowns, and have a good receiving passing day. I like stacking him with DJ Moore, but I don't even think you need to stack Fields with anyone for him to work out on DraftKings. Then just go with one of the quarterbacks in the highest projected scoring game, Dak or Tua. Running backs, I really am in on JT and Achane. I think Spears is an interesting low-priced option that not many people will be on. I would sprinkle him in as well. And that wide receiver, I want to play Justin Jefferson this week. I want to play DJ Moore. I want to play Amon-Ra. I think a good low-priced guy is Rondale Moore or Greg Dortch. There's no Marquise Brown this week for the Cardinals. I'm playing McBride in every single lineup, especially if I'm playing Fields. And the defense, I like the Titans defense as a low price defense this week. There's my DraftKings thoughts for you that you can build around there. Kmet or Waller? Yeah, I'd go Waller, I think, over Kmet. Let's pull up the tight end tiers here again. Yeah, it's Waller. It's Waller over Kmet. Waller only played 46% of snaps last week and still had, I think, was a 16% target share. I think Waller's a sneaky sleeper tight end this week. 41% snap share. Yes, 18% target share, 4 for 40. Like, if he gets closer to like 70%, 80% snap share, all of a sudden Waller's like a top 8 tight end again and has top 5 weekly upside. All right, we got Aaron Jones, Amari, or Chubb at flex. I'm assuming you mean Chuba Hubbard, RIP to Nick Chubb, which he was still around at this time of the year. Hopefully he's back at the start of next year. Aaron Jones, I think, is the answer here. Amari Cooper does have some potential with Flacco starting now, but Aaron Jones is a great matchup here against the Panthers. It's Jones. It's Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has higher touchdown ceiling, better floor too. Merry Christmas, Sam. Merry Christmas to everybody, guys, who celebrate. Seriously, happy holidays to all. Down 30 in projection and need some huge games. All right, Kenneth Walker, Zeke at flex. Full PPR. Yeah, I got you with the wide receiver rankings here on the YouTube live. Thanks for shouting that out. I mean, Zeke, if you're going for the boom game, let's do this comparison, because I think if you're going for the boom game, there's a real case for Kenneth over Zeke. But in general, like, you kind of have to start Zeke. It's just so tough for me to sit here and tell you to bench Ezekiel Elliott, who arguably is the best role. I mean, like, on a bad team, of course, but arguably the best role after CMC and Corinne Williams right now is Zeke. He's not coming off the field. I mean, he's going to see 95% of the touches in his backfield, maybe 100% of them. I think there's been a couple games where he did see 100%, only 11 carries, but look at this receiving role too for Zeke. He's got, 16 catches in his last 3 games, at least a 19% target share and 3 straight. I mean, he's going to get 20% of the targets. There's no Devontae Parker for the Pats today. There's no Hunter Henry for the Pats today. That could boost the target shares for Zeke. And I mean, he gets a matchup against the Broncos here, who have been horrible against running backs this year. I mean, they've been better of late. The last running back to play them, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, they combined for 34 points. Austin Eckler, the corpse of Austin Eckler, actually looked fine this week. He had 22 against the Broncos, so they've actually been pretty bad of late. The back-to-back games for the Broncos allowing over 20 points to running backs. So let's do this comparison, though. I want to see the boom percentages here, because I think Kenneth does have a higher boom percentage. So this is a tough call, man. I think I would go Zeke still. I think he's just the better play, straight up the better play. Maybe a slightly less of a high ceiling. Tough call, especially if you're down 30 in the projection. I could definitely see a case there for Kenneth, but in general, I'm playing Zeke over Kenneth today. Jason or Thielen and Dak or Fields, PPR semis. Adam, shout out to you, man, for making the semifinals. Shout out to everybody in this live stream who's in the semifinals of their fantasy league. I don't want to start Thielen. I really don't want to start Thielen at all. I don't feel great about JSN, but at this point of the season, Thielen feels like a must bench every week to me. He had such great moments this season. He's still got a consistent role, 30% target share last week, and still only 8 points. He's been under 10 points in 3 of his last 4 games. And look at some of these duds. And JSN's coming off a game-winning touchdown, an impressive game. That was with Drew Lock. He's been under 10 points in a similar amount of games, though, to Thielen. I think I would still go JSN, though. I'd go JSN, over Thielen. And then this QB decision, I really want to start Fields. But I think the answer here is Dak. I think you got to go Dak over Fields. Let me pull up the QB tiers here. Kelsey and McBride. I'm going Kelsey over McBride. I'm going Achane over Brees. I play Achane over Brees. I'd play Kelsey over McBride. And I really want to start McBride. I got Kelsey and McBride really close, but it's Kelsey. You got to start Kelsey. He's still the best tight end option, in my opinion, in fantasy. All right. Struggling here. Sorry on the YouTube live. You're staring at my fingers. All right. Let's do this comparison here between Dak and Fields. Fields coming off a good game 2 weeks ago. He played the Browns last week. I think that game had some pretty bad weather too, if I recall. 2 interceptions. Look at the rushing numbers here for Fields. He's going to go 12 plus carries today. I think he's done that in 3 of his last 4 games. There's no Deontay Foreman, who was the leading rusher for them last time out. But yeah, you got to play Dak. You got to play Dak. Dak is having too good of a season He's in the highest projected scoring game of the week. I know he's been bad back-to-back games. So look at the stretch before the last couple here for Dak. The Dolphins, let me pull up the matchup information here, because the Dolphins have been okay against quarterbacks this season. They shut down Trevor Siemian last game. Will Levis played pretty well. Sam Howell played pretty well against them in the 2 games before that. Dak's certainly significantly better than that. I mean, the Dolphins, against the good quarterbacks they played, Jalen Hurts had 24, Josh Allen had 36. Baker or Tua? Yeah, you got to go Tua. Got to go Tua over Baker. I know Baker's coming off a couple big games, but Tua is in the highest projected scoring game of the week. You got to go Tua. And then we look at the Cardinals. The Cardinals are definitely going to be a little bit less intimidating. Yeah, Brock Purdy had 25 last time out. Stafford had 24. I think Fields and Dak are both going to do well. I'd go Fields over. I'd go Dak over Fields if I had to make the call. I do think that the floor, I'd argue, is maybe a little bit higher for Fields just because of the rushing. Like, Fields could go over 100 rushing yards today and nobody would blink an eye. It just won't be that surprising. But yeah, I think the ceiling's higher enough for Dak that I'd play Dak over Fields. All right, playoff Sam projected down 13 because of Pickens, and he still has Achane and Zeke, who are projected low. Niners, Cowboys, Texans, also Hopkins or Gay. Yeah, here we are talking kickers here in week 16. I think I'd go with Hopkins. Niners, Cowboys, Texans. It's the Texans, I think. I don't want to play the Cowboys or the Niners like at all in those matchups. Maybe I'd go the Niners over the Texans. But yeah, you're in a tough spot here. Achane and Zeke I do like a lot this week. Flacco or Geno Smith? These are the questions, we wake up for in the morning. It's Flacco. It's Flacco over Geno, I think, pretty easily. Flacco has been pretty good, guys. Flacco is playing well. I mean, it's really surprising, age, 45 season here for Flacco, being a little bit facetious. I can't say that word. I'm not even going to try again. Facetious, I think is how you say it. But yeah, Flacco's 3 straight games over 17 points. Crazy. Merry Christmas, Eduardo. Pick 2, Hubbard, Singletary, Godwin, or Zeke. Yes, you're starting Zeke here. And between these other 3, it's close. But guys, you got to start Zeke. Zeke had a bad game last week. He still scored 9 points in PPR leagues. I'm assuming this is a PPR league. But the floor for Zeke is 9, and the ceiling is 30. Like, there's a good ceiling for Zeke with his role. His prop lines have him at 90 total yards. You got to start Zeke. All right, Singletary is a good option. I think Chuba Hubbard is a pretty solid option today as well. And then we got Godwin, who I also like. Godwin's been we were on it when this was coming. I mean, Godwin, the complaining worked for Chris Godwin. And I do think that could wear off a little bit this week. Two straight weeks, Godwin after the game, significant complaining about his targets. And yeah, 2 straight weeks, we've seen 23 targets to Chris Godwin, over 35% target share, and back-to-back games. Now he gets actually a pretty good matchup here against the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is playing, could be kind of a high-scoring game. But yeah, the answer here is still Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary's usage has been elite. He's the clear lead back. All of a sudden for the Texans, the Browns defense has not been so great. He's getting a receiving role here too. He had 4 catches last game. I think it's Singletary. I think it's close. But I'd play Singletary and Godwin, I think, over Chuba Hubbard. What's your take on Ridley? I like Ridley a lot today. I think Ridley's a start today. Let me pull up the wide receiver tiers. There's no Christian Kirk. There's no Zay Jones. So yeah, and Trevor Lawrence is playing too. And there's a real shot. There was a real chance that Trevor Lawrence was not going to play because he was in the concussion protocol. He's playing. I think he had some other injury. They said that he was questioned before. He's playing, and that's huge for Calvin Ridley. So yeah, I think Ridley's a pretty good option. I got him right in that tier 3, right around the guys like Hopkins, Adams, Metcalf, Ayuk, Devontae Smith. I played those guys over Ridley, but I'm playing Ridley over Waddle. I'm playing Ridley over Godwin. I'm playing Ridley over Nico Collins and Garrett Wilson and Mark Cooper. So yeah, I like Ridley a lot today. I think Ridley is a pretty elite option. Kyler or Tua? It's Tua. It's Tua over Kyler. Kyler's rushing does intrigue me, I will say, but the Bears defense has been good enough that I feel like you have to bench Kyler for a guy like Tua. Tua is in the highest projected scoring game of the week. Tua and Dak. Let me go to the QB tiers here again for you guys to see. Then we'll go to the running backs next if you're watching live on TikTok. Let me go to switch it up here on the YouTube live too. Let's go to the running back rankings here on the YouTube live. We're live on TikTok and we're live on YouTube. Guys, Merry Christmas to all who celebrate, or should I say Merry Christmas Eve to all who celebrate. Happy holidays to all who don't. Shout out to everybody in this live, guys. I have loved these live streams this season, just like I have for the last 2 or 3 seasons. It's week 16. It's the fantasy football semifinals. We got We got to make the right decisions. We have worked so hard to get here. You got to make the most optimal decisions possible. All right. What's up, Sam? Semi-finals weekend. Injuries have plagued the squad. Flowers or Nico? Full PP. It's Nico. It's Nico over Flowers. It's got to be Nico over Flowers. And Flowers is coming off, I think, one of his better games of the season, if I recall. Actually, one of his worst games of the season. Before that, he had two of his best games of the season. Only 1.7 points for Zay Flowers. He ran around 100% of the dropbacks, but only 9% target share, 1 catch, 7 yards. Brutal outing for Zay. Meanwhile, Nico Collins, he's catching passes from Case Keenum today. That could go disastrously. That could be a disaster for Nico, for sure. Catching passes from Keenum, my last ranked quarterback on the week. Only 2.3 points last time out for Nico, but he only played 5% of the snaps. He got hurt, and he missed last week. Not a great matchup here for him against the Browns, but he's the clear top receiver with no Tank Dell. I think I'd go Nico. It's a close one here for sure, but yeah, I'd go Nico Collins. Achane or Swift, it's Achane. Guys, happy Achane week to all who celebrate. It's Achane. You got to play Achane over Swift. Let me go to the running back on tier list on TikTok. Should I start Waddle or Tyreek? It's definitely start Tyreek. Start Tyreek for sure. Tyreek Hill, I think, needs around 160 yards per game in his last couple of games to break the all-time receiving record. And 160 yards per game, like 150, it might even be 140 yards per game that he needs. Might sound like a lot, but all of a sudden Tyreek has 180 today, and like next week we're talking he only needs 120, 100 yards to break the all-time receiving record. I definitely could see that happening. I do think Tyreek cares about that record. I think the Dolphins care about it too. It wouldn't be shocking to see a massive Tyreek Hill day. But Devon Achane needs to be in lineups today, guys. He's gotten over 25 points in half of his games this year. I'd argue this is the best, the most optimistic you could feel in like the last month or so about his health going into a game. We had that horrible week 11 situation where he was, coming back from injury, and then he got hurt in like the first drive. Hasn't really been a huge issue since he sat out week 12. He's not playing a ton, but he's going to get close to 40% of the backfield work. Again, over 25 points in half of his games. This game is projected to be the high scoring game of the week. So start Achane over guys like Swift. Start Achane over guys like Saquon, Pollard, Aaron Jones, Bijan, Mostert, Jacobs. I'm starting him over all those guys. Brees, Ty Chandler. I'm starting Achane over all of them. Is it okay if I have Tua, Waddle, and Tyreek? Yeah, that's great. I think that's great this week. All right, let's go to the must start, must benches. Baker or Kyler? Yeah, I think it's Kyler. Let's do this comparison quick. I've seen some Baker questions. I know Baker's enticing to some extent based on his recent performances. Kyler's been, pretty consistent though, and Kyler's running enough that I think it's a good matchup here for Baker. Good game environment potentially for this whole Bucs passing attack. Baker was QB2 last week with 29 points, back-to-back games with 20. Now he gets his arguably best matchup of the season since week 3. So Baker's got some upside for sure, but yeah, Kyler's got a much safer floor in my opinion, even in a tougher matchup here against the Bears, because you look at his rushing profile, he's had at least 6 carries in 4 of his 5 games this year. That's Kyler Murray. That's a pretty good rushing floor. He scored 3 rushing touchdowns in 5 games. He has not been under 15 points except for 1 game against the Steelers. So yeah, I think I'd go Kyler over Baker, but the ceiling I'd argue is probably higher for Baker. What about if Jaden Reed starts? I don't think Jaden Reed's going to play. Let's pull up the Jaden Reed information. All the props are priced like Jaden Reed's not going to play. Let's pull up the news here on Jaden Reed. Did not practice. He did not practice once this entire week. That's Jaden Reed. So I would assume Jaden Reed is not playing if he didn't practice a single time. Nico Collins, ready to roll, no limitations. Not going to be eased in. Just refreshing the news feed here, making sure we're not missing anything. Dontavian Wicks, he could have a big week. I think we got him projected ahead of Romeo Doubs even. Not a great matchup here for Wicks against the Panthers. But he had 15.7 last week. He's going to play a lot with Jaden Reed out, Christian Watson out. He's been pretty good. 6 catches, 97 yards in his last game. And his yards per target have been really high all season. Tannehill or Heineke? Don't start Tannehill. Don't start Tannehill. You got to go Heineke. I got another question for you, Sam. Hubbard, Zeke, or Ford, or do I start Singletary if I have Cleveland defense? No. Start Zeke. Start Zeke over Ford. Start Zeke over Hubbard. Oh, I don't love playing Singletary if you have Cleveland defense. But I still think Singletary is better than Ford and Chuba Hubbard. Flowers or Lockett, yeah, I think this is actually close. Let's see. Let's go back to the wide receiver tier list here on the TikTok live. I got Flowers ahead of Lockett. Yeah, it's Flowers over Lockett. Sam, Laporta or Kelsey? I still don't know. And happy holidays, my guy. Happy holidays to you as well. It's Kelsey. It's Kelsey over Laporta. Laporta, he won weeks last week for sure, but it's still Kelsey. Kelsey is still the best tight end option in fantasy football. The Kelsey strat, is down bad a little bit after his abysmal game last week. His second worst game of the season. He's still at 7.8 though. Like the floor is just unmatched, man, with Kelsey. And there's no Marquez Valdes-Scantling today. There's no Jerick McKinnon today, and there's no McCole Hardman today. And all three of those, on their own might not seem like they have any real meaning. Like it doesn't really matter. Sam, why do I care that Marquez Valdes-Scantling is out? Why do I care that Jerick McKinnon is out? Why do I care that McCole Hardman is out? But all three of those things together, like that's 10 to 15%, maybe 20% of the target share for the Chiefs in a given week. Pacheco's back. So, maybe the McKinnon one, not a huge deal. But with Scantling and McCole Hardman out, I do think it's a slight boost to Rashee Rice, a slight boost to Travis Kelce, and a slight boost to Isaiah Pacheco. Justin Watson, some of these fringe guys get a slight boost there too. But yeah, Kelce is a really elite option here. The Raiders are not a very good defense. Kelce could easily break the slate this week. I think you've got to start Kelce. Ayuk or Adams? It's Adams over Ayuk. Where's Pittman? It's a good question. Let me pull up here, make sure that we have him projected in. I believe we do. Do not. Here, let's see this. Oh, Pittman's out. Right, Pittman's out. He got ruled out. He was supposed to be in, and he got ruled out. Pittman's not playing. Ayuk or Pacheco? It's Pacheco over Ayuk. Nico or Javonte? Oh, God, I think it's Nico over Javonte. All right, Achane, Bijan, Rashad, Zeke, James Conner. Some really elite options here. So you got to start Rachaad White. This is the first Rachaad White I've seen all day. I don't think I'm going to see many of them. Rachaad White is the elite of the elite running back options. And Rachaad White's role is really, it's up there. It's up there with Corinne and McCaffrey. Like, I think they really are the clear top tier. I think JT, you can make an argument for in that top tier, depending on what his role ended up looking like. But yeah, he's had at least 20 carries in 3 straight. He's barely coming off the field, 80% snap shares. He's catching passes. He actually hasn't caught that many passes in the last month, but he's a really good receiver. He's running routes on almost every single passing play. So yeah, it's Rashad here. And then I think you go Zeke, and then I think you go Achane. I'd go Achane over Bijan. I do like Bijan today. I think Bijan will bounce back, but I like Achane more. Hey, Sam, Merry Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve to you as well. Yeah, it's JT over Gibbs. It's JT over Gibbs. You got to start Jonathan Taylor with no Moss. You have to start JT. Gibbs has a better matchup, but it's close, and it's JT. Start 3, Cooks, Noah Brown, Hubbard, Dobbs, Elijah Moore, Pierce, Gus, Herbert, Wicks, or Reed if he plays. Reed's not going to play. Let's just assume Reed's not going to play to simplify this a bit. You got to start Chuba Hubbard here for sure. You cannot start Dameon Pierce. Khalil Herbert's in the mix. I would start Wicks. I think it's Chuba Hubbard, Wicks, and maybe I don't love the matchup here for the Packers passing attack, but I feel like it is a kind of safe move here with all these kind of fringe options you have here, Billy. Just start Dobbs, start Wicks, and definitely start Chuba Hubbard. Gus Edwards is in play, but against the 49ers, I've never been a big Gus Edwards guy. He doesn't catch passes. RIP to Keaton Mitchell. It definitely gives a boost to Gus, but yeah, I'm going Dobbs. I'm going Wicks. I'm going with Chuba Hubbard for this one. And then had Mixon and Cook. So yeah, it's brutal with Mixon and Cook this week. All right, Merry Christmas. Love the app, Sam. Thanks, man. Yeah, guys, the best way you could possibly support me is by checking out the Walter Picks app. It's free. It's in the TikTok bio. It's in the YouTube description. Let me show you a quick screenshot from the app here. This is the Dalvin Cook rushing line that I'm showing on the TikTok live. Dalvin Cook under 17.5 rushing yards, by the way, is the free player prop of the day. All right, let's go to the QB tiers again. All right, we got Rashee Rice, Waddle, Garrett Wilson, JT, and Gibbs. 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Okay, so you got to start Rashee Rice, and you got to start JT. It's Rashee Rice and JT. Both really lead options here, Leo. For sure. All right. Happy Honda days. Pick 2 standard. Mostert, White, H.N. Devontae. Man, standard leagues are the worst, but it's White. Standard leagues, like I almost always want to start running backs over receivers. Receptions just don't mean anything. So just touches matter. Like you just got to analyze the touches, and running backs just get more touches than the receivers, and they also have more touchdown ceiling. So yeah, it's H.N. I just go H.N. and Mostert. Actually, you got to start White here. So I think it's White and H.N. It's White, H.N. You got to bench Mostert. I like the H.N. Mostert stack though in standard. Which defense? Jets, Broncos. Broncos defense is a lock against the Pats. Hey Sam, happy holidays. Skip my question. Need a Pittman replacement. Pick one flex. Bijan or Garrett Wilson. Also, in another league, should I go Zay Flowers or Josh Downs with Pittman out? Yeah, so these are close, man. I think I'd go Zay over Josh Downs still. Josh Downs has been like a little bit underwhelming, honestly, down the stretch. Even when Pittman's playing, like Downs, look at this. I mean, under 10 points in 6 straight games. I get that Pittman's out, but yeah, it's got to be Zay there, who's got over 20 in a couple games recently. And then Bijan versus Garrett Wilson. I think this is a really tough choice here. Both, I think you could tell stories about being good options. Let me go Purdy or Mahomes. It's Mahomes over Purdy. You could tell stories about both these guys. I do think Bijan will bounce back. I'm not terrified to start Bijan today. Like the Colts defense is not good. The Falcons coach Arthur Smith, like his job's on the line here. Like you got to think they get Bijan going in this game after last week. He had 7 carries for 11 yards, 1.6 yards per carry, by far his worst efficiency of the season. I guess the 0.3 game, I didn't realize he got hurt in that game, but that was the headache game, I think, back in week 7. Forgot about that. They got fined, by the way, like a bunch of money for that game and not reporting that game. But anyways, he's got a good matchup here against the Colts. I would be pretty shocked if we saw back-to-back duds here from Bijan in the fantasy football playoffs. Garrett Wilson, on the other hand, he's catching passes from who? Trevor Siemian? I mean, he's had to catch passes from the worst group of quarterbacks. I mean, you could argue, guys, like Garrett Wilson has had about as bad of luck as you could possibly have when it comes to your quarterback play in your first 2 seasons in the league. Like Garrett Wilson's top 5 in target share. He only had 12% target share last time out against the Dolphins. The Commanders secondary has been so bad this season. Like Trevor Siemian, can you put it in the same zip code as Garrett Wilson today? If you can, he's going to have a huge game. He's only had 3 touchdowns this season. I'm not sure Trevor Siemian can get it done. Like I feel better about Bijan than I do Garrett Wilson for that reason. I'd go Bijan. I'd go Bijan over Garrett Wilson in PPR. As you go down in the scoring, I think I like Bijan even more. But yeah, it's Bijan over Garrett Wilson there. Jordan Love or Kyler Murray? Yeah, so you do not start Jordan Love today. Do not start Jordan Love. Do not start Russell Wilson either. Both these guys are just terrible matchups. It's Kyler over Jordan Love for sure. Happy holidays, Sam. Let me pull up the QB rankings here on the YouTube live. Shout out to everybody in the YouTube live. Shout out to everybody in the TikTok live. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, smash the like button. If you're watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button. We got plenty of time to go. We're going to talk about every single game. We're going to talk about every single player. We're going to get to thousands of start-sit decisions. All right, Henry, James Conner, Ty Chandler. I'm pretty nervous for Derrick Henry today. I'm not going to lie. I thought that commentary, let me see if we have it here in the app. The commentary from last game was just super weird or very strange stuff. I don't know if it was the last home game or something for the Titans. Let me see the news here. I don't think it even says, nothing about this here, but he had some weird comments, like as if it was his last game as the Titan. And it's like, dude, there's 2 games left, 3 games left, 3 games left in the season. Very strange stuff there from Derrick Henry. And then we got James Conner. And we got, I think Ty Chandler, right? Was the last? It's Chandler. I think the answer here is Chandler over Derrick Henry, over James Conner. Yeah, it's Chandler. Wow, they're projected really close, but I'd go Ty Chandler. I think Ty Chandler's role is just more locked in than Derrick Henry. And this is not a good game script projection here for the Titans. The Titans are underdogs in this game. And when the Titans are losing, they're 3-point underdogs at home against the Seahawks. And the Seahawks haven't been great against running backs, so Derrick Henry has, at least some potential there. But when the Titans are losing, it's Tyjae Spears that gets in the game, not Derrick Henry. So yeah, I would go Ty Chandler here. I think it's just less game script dependent. Monty or Pollard? It's Pollard over Monty for sure. Zach Brown, how's it going? Happy holiday season and playoff season. Need your help. Pick 2 PPR. ETN, Zeke, Waddle, Chuba Hubbard, James Conner. Also, do we have DFS? Yeah, I got you with the DFS, and it's the first 2 here. It's the first 2. I'm benching Waddle. I'm playing Zeke and ETN. I really think you got to start Zeke. Like you got to start Zeke. It's not a sexy play. starting Ezekiel Elliott on the New England Patriots, who arguably have the worst offense in the NFL. I actually think, not arguably, like they might just have the worst offense, like in terms of points. But still, Zeke has a pretty high floor. Despite being on such a terrible team, the role for Zeke right now is extremely, extremely elite. I mean, look at these snap percentages. If I scroll up here, he's not coming off the field. He's seeing 100% of the backfield work, and he had a bad game last week, still finished with 9 points. Like, that's a pretty good floor here in PPR leagues, 9.6 for Zeke in what I would argue is a floor outcome for Zeke last week in a tougher matchup than he has this week too. The Broncos have been horrible against running backs. The Broncos have allowed at least 20 points to running backs in back-to-back games. They rank second worst against running backs this entire season. We saw Gibbs and Monty combined for over 35 points last week. So yeah, I like Zeke a lot this week. I do have some DFS thoughts. I'll pull those up. It's not a full lineup here for you, but just some thoughts of guys I would encourage you to build around. I do think I would add Zeke to this list. I like JT and Achane. I like Achane a lot. If you're playing in tournaments, I really think Achane is a sharp move. He's been over 25 points in half of his games. He's playing in the highest projected scoring game of the week. And there's just not as many health risks, it feels like, with Achane going into this week. We've seen him playing back-to-back games now. He's playing around 40% of the snaps. He doesn't need huge volume to have huge games. Like 2 big plays from Achane, he's over 25 points. I'm not playing a tight end not named Trey McBride on the main slate today. I think there's no Kelsey or Njoku on the slate. So it's McBride. It's McBride for sure here. And I'm liking the stack too with McBride and Fields. I think if you don't play Fields on DraftKings, you got to go Dak or Tua. I pivot to Dak or Tua if you don't play Fields. Achane or Aaron Jones is Achane over Aaron Jones. Flex, Nico, Mostert, McBride. It might be McBride. And honestly, I think I've been too slow. I'm critical sometimes of my process as an analyst of fantasy football. And for a long time, I've been yelling at people to not start 2 tight ends. Don't do it. Tight ends bleak enough as it is. Don't start 2 tight ends. If you've been tuning into my live streams at all over the last 3 years, you've probably heard me say that at least once. I think I've been too slow to shift that mindset, because Trey McBride, you should start Trey McBride over Mostert and Nico Collins. You should. McBride is a good 2 tight end. If you have some of these elite tight ends, let me go to the tight end tier list here on the TikTok live. If you have Kelsey, McBride, Njoku, even Laporta, Ingram, Hawkinson, you probably should start both those guys if you have both of them. They're really elite options, especially these top 3, Kelsey, McBride, and Njoku. I'm fine starting 2 of those guys. I think that's fine. I think McBride is a really elite option just in general. Hi, Walter Picks. Debo or Rice? Jack, nice for you to tune in. Hi to you as well. Shout out to everyone that's live. My name is Sam. It's a classic mistake, by the way. My name is not Walter. My name is Sam. Walter is the AI model that powers the Walter Picks app, which if you haven't downloaded yet, you got to download the Walter Picks app. It's the most elite app for fantasy insights, for prop insights, for DFS insights. It is free to download to tons of free features in the Walter Picks app, plus premium features for as little as $5 a month. It's the best way you can support me. Check out the Walter Picks app. It's in the TikTok bio. It's in the YouTube description. We're going to get to every single game, every single player, every single start state decision on this live stream. Happy semifinals. Happy holidays to everyone as well. Debo or Rice? Yeah, this is a really close one. It's Rice. I think it's Rice over Debo, but I really want to start both these guys. There's no benching Rashee Rice right now. I really don't think there's any benching Rashee Rice. The floor for Rashee Rice, not comparable to the floor for Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel, according to the Walter Picks app, again, you can get this info for free in the app, 28% chance to go under 10 points. Rashee Rice, only a 12% chance. And you can see why when we look back at the game logs and the matchup here too. The Ravens have been very good. Second best defense this year against receivers. Debo's been on fire, man. 4 straight games over 20 points. This is why I want to start Debo. He's still an elite option. I still have him as a wide receiver 7, but Rashee Rice is a better option because Rashee Rice is the number 1 passing option right now for Patrick Mahomes. He's had 4 straight games over 14 points. He's had 4 straight games over 25% target share. There's no Marquez Valdes-Scantling today. There's no, I think they actually play tomorrow. There's no Marquez Valdes-Scantling. There's no McCole Hardman. There's no Jerick McKinnon. That only is a good thing for Rashee Rice here. And I would say a plus matchup against the Raiders. So yeah, I would go Rice over Debo. I want to start both though. I really do want to start both. It's a tough call. Hey Sam, start 3, Bijan, Hall, Montgomery, Chandler. Thanks. God, yeah, this one's between Hall and Montgomery. You got to start Bijan, you got to start Chandler. And I'm not scared, guys. I'm not scared to start Bijan. I don't think you should be scared to start Bijan. I know last week was brutal, and honestly, I'm impressed about how many teams have advanced to the semifinals in the playoffs with Bijan, because Bijan really crushed a lot of teams last week. A lot of people that would be tuned into this live that aren't because they started Bijan Robinson last week. But yeah, I do think this one's between Breece Hall and David Montgomery. I think you got to start Ty Chandler. He's got definitely a really good role projection, high floor this week for Ty Chandler coming off his best game of his career. It's Breece, though, over Monty. Oh, gosh, Monty's a tough call. Monty and Raheem Mostert, I feel like, are really similar options where they've scored so many touchdowns, but they don't have huge receiving roles. They're arguably not the best running back on their own team. Let me look at the role here for Breece. Israel Abikanda played just too much last week, 2.8 here. From Breece, only 6 carries. Bad receiving role from Breece last week, too. I think this game will be closer, though, which should help him out. It's a close one here. It's a close one for sure. The floor, look at the floor here from Monty. All these games over 10 points. I think Monty over Breece is fine. Breece is going to have the better projection. But, yeah, I think Monty over Breece is fine. Shout out to everyone that's live, by the way, guys. I appreciate the likes. I appreciate the follows. I appreciate the subscribing to the YouTube channel, too, guys. We've been grinding all season. I mean, one of the things I've been focused on the most this year as a content creator is consistency, and not letting down on the consistency. This is our 16th straight Sunday morning live. We hit 16 straight Thursday lives. We've had 16 straight guys I've refused to bench, things we learned on the TikTok channel as well. I'm proud of the consistency this year, guys. I really am. Good morning, Sam. Start 2, standard, Bijan, Waddle, Singletary. Yeah, standard league, start the running backs, James. Standard leagues favor the running backs so heavily. Receptions don't count at all. So you got to go Bijan, you got to go Singletary. They will touch the ball more than Waddle. They have a better chance of touchdowns than Waddle has. So it's in standard leagues, super straightforward. And thank you for letting me know the scoring settings, by the way, because scoring settings matter a lot. Like if that was a PPR league, I'm starting Waddle over Singletary, I think pretty easily. Or at least it's going to be much closer. But in a standard league, like it's Singletary over Waddle. It's not that close. This is also why the Walter Picks app is unmatched, because it's custom to your league scoring settings. One of the toughest things to do as an analyst is, just in fantasy football analysis in general, is trying to adjust the analysis for the scoring settings, which is exactly what the Walter Picks app does. All right, let's get to this one on YouTube Live. JSN, Judy, Wicks, happy PR, projected down 8. Merry Christmas Eve, Sam. Merry Christmas Eve to you, Jack, and all who celebrate. If you don't celebrate, happy holidays. It's a great day to be great today. All right, JSN, Judy, or Wicks. Yeah, so we can't start Judy. There's no starting Judy. Like, Judy's had such a brutal season. I don't think this season could have gone worse for Judy unless he got hurt. And even if he got hurt, at least you had an excuse. But there's no excuse, really, for Judy. I mean, he's had over a 14% target share in every single game this season except for one. And that's pretty surprising when you look at these numbers. He's done nothing with his opportunity. I mean, last week was actually one of his better weeks, 74 yards, second most yards of the season. He gets the Pats today. Like, it wouldn't be shocking to see Judy have a big game. I don't think you can start Judy over Wicks, though. At JSN versus Wicks is close, too. Let's do this one. I think it's Wicks over JSN. Yeah, it is. It's Wicks over JSN. Start Wicks. There's no Jaden Reed this week. There's no Christian Watson this week. Kenneth Walker or Jacobs is Kenneth. It's Kenneth over Jacobs for sure. Let me go to the must starts, must benches here on the TikTok Live. Breece, Pacheco, Mostert, bench 1. Yeah, you got to bench. I think you bench Mostert there. You play Breece. It's close. I think I would bench Mostert, though, and play Breece. Mostert's, I think, maybe a little bit safer. Just a worse receiving role for Mostert, though. Yo, Sam, need help this week. Pick 2. Adam, Sutton, Addison, OBJ, or Noah Brown, full PPR. Yeah, Matt, so this is a pick 1. You're going to start Adam. So it's between Sutton, Addison, OBJ, Noah Brown. I don't want to start Noah Brown against the Browns with Case Keenum throwing the ball. No thanks. To that one, I'm going to pass. Just pass for me on that one. So it's Sutton, Addison, and OBJ. We're not going to start Noah Brown this week, guys. I think you're really pushing your luck if you're going to start Noah Brown. The answer is going to end up being Sutton. I don't like Sutton against the Pats that much, but then you look at the numbers for Sutton, and you'll see why it makes sense that it's Sutton. I mean, Sutton has at least 9 points in basically every game. I mean, there's one game against the Jets. He had a bad game back in week 5. He's been incredibly consistent. He's been the opposite of Judy this year. I mean, Sutton has been the polar opposite. Sutton has, I think, had a little bit better target volume, but both Sutton and Judy actually have been really consistently targeted every single week. But Sutton has done a lot with those targets. I mean, look at these touchdowns, touchdown after touchdown after touchdown for Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton has I think 2 times more games with touchdowns than without touchdowns. Only 4 games without a touchdown this year. He's got 10 games with a touchdown, more than twice the amount of games with a touchdown than without a touchdown for Sutton. I mean, it doesn't get more consistent than that. Addison, meanwhile, he's coming off his best game of the season, or second best game of the season. He had a huge boom game. He was the wide receiver 1 last week, Jordan Addison. 2 touchdowns, 111 yards, 6 catches. Connection there with Nick Mullins. Gets the lines today. That could be a pretty high-scoring game. I'm going Sutton, though. I think Addison is the higher ceiling. Sutton has the safer floor, so you got to make a call there. Is Tommy Cutlets going off tomorrow? He definitely has the potential to go off. Which QBs are you starting? Yes, let me go to the QB tier list here on the TikTok. I haven't got you with the QB tiers. I think the QB tiers are pretty straightforward this week. I'm benching Jordan Love and Russell Wilson this week for sure. Hey, Sam, help me pick one between Achane, Collins, Cooper, McBride. Full PPR. Yeah, so I was just going on a rant here about how, it used to be you just could not start 2 tight ends. Like starting 2 tight ends was one of the most suboptimal things you could possibly do. McBride is changing that. And Njoku is changing that. Hawkinson, Laporta. These guys, we're in a bit of a tight end renaissance right now. And McBride is in play here over Achane. I think he's actually going to project better than Achane projects. And yeah, it's McBride, man. Start McBride and Kelsey. Look at this role for Trey McBride. And tell me you're going to feel good about putting this on your bench. He's had such consistent targets. He has not been under a 20% target share for 2 months. The Bears are not that good against tight ends. There's no Marquise Brown this week too. Like he's going to hit a 25% target share in this game. And knowing that, yeah, you got to start McBride, man. You got to start McBride over Achane. Yeah, Walter says McBride. I say McBride. I really do want to start Achane this week. Like I like Achane this week. I just think the floor is a lot lower for Achane than it is for McBride. Happy PR, Addison, Waddle, Chandler, Noah Brown, Curtis Samuel. Yeah, this one's Waddle. I play Waddle over Chandler. I play Waddle over Addison. I play Waddle over Noah Brown. Guys, don't start Noah Brown. Do not start a second, the number 2 receiver for Case Keenum against the Browns. No thanks, man. Just an easy pass. I start Curtis Samuel over Noah Brown. I start Ty Chandler over Noah Brown. I'm definitely starting Waddle over Noah Brown. I'm definitely starting Addison over Noah Brown also. Chandler or Monty? Yeah, it's Chandler. It's Chandler over Monty. I don't feel great about it. Let me go to the running back tiers here on the TikTok live. Let me go pull up the running back rankings too on the YouTube live. I got the tight end rankings up here for a little while. Okay. Happy holidays to you and everyone. Yeah, same to you, Jacob. Happy holidays to everybody who's tuned in. Guys, I appreciate you all so much. Seriously, I look forward to these lives every Sunday. This is the best day of the week, every week, and largely because of you guys who show up every week. And whether you're here for the first time or a long time, seriously, I appreciate you guys all so much. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button. Best way, as always, you can support me. Download the free Walter Picks app in the YouTube description, in the TikTok bio. All right, Cooper, Aston, Ty Chandler, pick 2. Thank you. Yeah, so Ty Chandler's a very interesting case this week. I mean, I do like starting him. I think you could do much worse than Ty Chandler this week. And by the way, I'm going to be doing some analysis this offseason, but this feels like another year where the hustle really paid off in fantasy. Like if you were hustling and you added Ty Chandler, if you were hustling and you added Puka Nacua or Corinne Williams early in the season, I mean, it paid off huge. There's some more too that I'm missing with the quarterbacks too. But I mean, like everyone only cares about the draft, or a lot of people only care about the draft. And like 3 weeks in, draft doesn't even matter. Like you got Corinne Williams, you got Puka Nacua, you're in the fantasy football semifinals all of a sudden. Okay, we got Addison, Cooper, Chandler. Yeah, Addison I think has the highest ceiling here, but yeah, it's Chandler. It's Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler's coming off his best game of the season. Wide receiver tier list. Roschon's still tier 7. Yeah, I don't feel great about the Bears running backs today. So there's no Deontay Foreman today. That is definitely a boost for Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert. I don't feel super confident about which one's going to benefit the most. And I still think both could easily bust. I think it honestly might help Justin Fields the most. It might help Justin Fields the most, like in terms of rushing. I think Fields probably leads the Bears in rushing today. His over-under rushing, I think, is higher than Herbert's and Roschon's in terms of the props. I would play Roschon over Herbert just because I think he's a better receiving back, and he played more last week, I believe, than Herbert. We saw Roschon get half the snaps last week, only 5 carries, but he did get 6 targets. Herbert last week played just 24% of the snaps. He had more carries, though. So I think Khalil Herbert's probably going to be the early down back. Roschon's going to be the receiving back, like 50-50 split almost, potentially. Don't feel great about it. Good matchup against the Cardinals, though, so I could definitely see one of them doing well. Nico or Amari? Yeah, I'd go Amari over Nico. Nico against the Browns, catching passes from Case Keenum. This is not the same Nico Collins we've been playing all season, guys, because he's not playing with C.J. Stroud, who was one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. I mean, it's just not the same scenario here. Plus a tough matchup against the Browns. I'm playing Ty Chandler and Addison. So, I think I'd go Ty Chandler and Cooper. I don't really love stacking Chandler and Addison. I'd go Ty Chandler and Amari Cooper here. I didn't realize this was a pick 2. James Conner or David Montgomery? Who down 12, man? Good to see you in the live again. It's David Montgomery. Show the RBs. I got you with the running back list. Start Adams or Debo? It's Debo. Start Debo over Adams. Kittle or I saw that one. Kittle or Hubbard at flex. Yeah, it's Hubbard. Singletary or Adams? It's Adams over Singletary. I'm playing JT over Mostert easily. Jonathan Taylor needs to be started. Jonathan Taylor needs to be in your starting lineup. If you have somehow, some way, gotten to the fantasy football semifinals with the season that Jonathan Taylor has had, he didn't play the entire first month of the year. He then comes back, gets hurt week 12, comes back in week 16 against the Falcons. It's a tough matchup here. But there's no Zach Moss. Like, if Zach Moss was healthy, I don't think I'd be nearly as confident in JT. JT's been over 10 points in every single healthy game this season. The floor is elite here for JT, and the ceiling, we have not seen the true ceiling yet. For JT, by the way, another guy I was yapping about on Thursday night about who we haven't seen the true ceiling yet from. Boom, ceiling game from Chris Olave. Best game of the season, 23 points. The air yards turned into real yards, 33% target share here from Chris Olave on Thursday night. Hope everyone started him and tuned into the Thursday Live for that. All right. Parker Washington or Isaiah Likely? Yes, Isaiah Likely over Parker Washington for sure. Good pre-noon, Sam. Good pre-noon to you as well. Projected down 13 and he's Achane. Zeke, would you go Texans? I feel like if you need a boom play, honestly, it's the Cowboys. Probably the Cowboys. If you need a boom play here at defense, I think I'd go with the Cowboys over the 49ers and over the Texans. I don't love the Cowboys defense in general, though. This week, Laporta or Pollard? I'm going Pollard over Laporta. Ingram over Likely. And Njoku and McBride. Can you show receivers, please? I got you with the receivers. We're going to go to tight ends next because I think the tight end decision's pretty straightforward this week. I'll talk through those. Let me put the wide receiver rankings actually first. Let's get to a wide receiver question here. Sutton or Wicks? Yeah, so it's Sutton. It's Sutton over Wicks. It's close. I got Sutton in tier 5, Wicks in tier 6. I do like Wicks. Wicks has been really efficient. There's no Jaden Reed this week. There's not going to be any Christian Watson this week either. I think I'd still go Sutton, though. Sutton's been really consistent. Sutton has 10 games with a touchdown and only 4 games without this season. I mean, it's truly elite stuff there. Tad, good morning. Not quite morning, for me, but it's okay. Full PPR start to Ridley, Godwin, Mostert, Chandler. It's the first two here. I think it's Ridley and Godwin. I think I'd go Ridley and Godwin in this PPR. If there's a PPR league, it is a PPR league. I think let's do Mostert versus Chandler first. And yeah, it's Mostert over Chandler. I would play Mostert over Chandler. And then Mostert versus Ridley and Godwin, though. I think it's Ridley and Godwin. Ridley's in a really, really good spot. These two teams play each other. Both these guys, neither of these defenses are very scary against wide receivers, the Bucs or the Jaguars. This game could be really high scoring. The Bucs are 3rd worst in the NFL against receivers this season. The Jaguars are 6th worst against receivers this season. Ridley's playing without, there's no Christian Kirk. He's done for the season. And there's no Zay Jones today either. I mean, must start for sure. All right, well, let's go to the tight end tiers. Then we're going to get to the must start, must benches on the TikTok Live. The tight end tiers, guys, it's pretty straightforward to me, in my opinion. Like some great tight end options. It does not get better than Travis Kelce still. I still think Kelce's the best tight end option of the week. I know he's coming off a down game. His 2nd worst game of the season, Kelce's coming off of. But still, Travis Kelce, let me pull this down here so you can see on the YouTube Live too. Still, Travis, I'll put the tight end rankings quick too as well as I talk through these. But still, Kelce finishes with 8 points. Like, an 8-point floor for a tight end is really elite. And McBride and Njoku have similar floors. Like, I'm going Kelce, then McBride, then Njoku. I think all 3 of these are really, really close. I like McBride a little bit more than Njoku because there's no Marquise Brown today. I like the matchup a little bit better, too, for McBride than Njoku. But all 3 of these guys are the top of the top tiers. I mean, Kelce, man, like, you just don't get 16.7-point projections for tight ends. But yeah, Njoku and McBride, both elite options as well. The matchup is actually best for Njoku. I really like the matchup for Kelce too. Ty Chandler or Singletary? I think it's Singletary. RB list we'll get to in a second. Ferguson or Likely? Yeah, I got Ferguson one spot ahead of Likely, super close one, but it's a tough matchup for Likely, and Ferguson's in the highest projected scoring game of the week, so I don't hate getting some exposure to that game through Jake Ferguson. Ty Chandler or Singletary PPR? Yeah, it's Ty Chandler versus Singletary. I think I just said Singletary. Wait, let's do this comparison quick. Let me go to the running back tiers, and then we'll go to the must starts, must benches. Ty Chandler versus Singletary. Yeah, it's Singletary. It's Singletary over Ty Chandler. It's a really close one. It's a better matchup for Singletary than it is Ty Chandler. A better game environment, I think. All right, let's go to the must start, must benches. Saw some people asking for those. Matt, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas Eve to all who celebrate. Happy holidays to all who don't. All right, Kyler or Trevor Lawrence this week. Any worry about T-Law with health? Yeah, there's some worry. I got a little bit of worry. I'm just surprised he's playing. So I think it's just like lingering worry. I don't know if it's justifiable worry, if that makes sense. Like he's playing. Trevor Lawrence has never missed a game at high school, college, or the NFL. He just sped through the concussion protocol. I mean, extremely fast. There's another injury he was dealing with recently too. Let me pull up the news here on T-Law. This is a not so sneaky shootout, honestly. The Bucs are a really good matchup here for Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence has had a great last 5 games. I mean, he got hurt in this one, still at 15 points. He's at least 15 now in 5 straight. He gets the Bucs. The Bucs have been just such a great matchup for quarterbacks, especially as their offense has been able to keep up a little bit of late. They let up 18 points to Jordan Love last week. The week before that, 26 points to Desmond Ridder. I mean, Gardner Minshew had 15. Brock Purdy popped off for 27. CJ Stroud had 41 against the Bucs. Josh Allen had 30 points against the Bucs. Like, this is a good matchup for T-Law. I'd argue Trevor Lawrence's ceiling is much higher than Kyler Murray's against a pretty decent Bears defense. The floor is maybe a bit better. Yeah, Walter agrees with me, I think, in general on this. The floor is better for Kyler because of the rushing. Kyler's running enough that he has a pretty safe floor, at least 6 carries in 4 of his 5 starts for Kyler. But yeah, I go Trevor Lawrence. Personally, I'm playing Trevor Lawrence over Kyler. I think I have them reversed in my rankings. I'd play Trevor Lawrence over Kyler in this game environment for Trevor Lawrence. I am a little bit worried, though, for sure, about how fast he sped through the concussion protocol. All right, let's get to some more of the comments. We're going to talk about every single player, every single game like we do every single Sunday morning. If you haven't yet, guys, hit the like button if you're watching live on YouTube. If you haven't yet on TikTok, smash the follow button. If you haven't yet, we are posting weekly fantasy football and NFL content on the YouTube and the TikTok. Appreciate all you guys. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas Eve to all of those who celebrate. All right, Josh Downs, Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, or Jacoby Myers. Pick one. Full PPR. Oh, man, my gut here is Jacoby Myers. But I think this one's pretty close. Let's go to the wide receiver tiers here for a second. I think all these guys made it on the wide receiver tier list. Pull the wide receiver rankings list on the YouTube Live also. All right, we got Curtis Samuel. He's down in tier 6. Terry McLaurin is down in tier 7, so I would go Samuel over McLaurin. Jacoby Myers is down in tier 7 as well. I think the answer here is, man, I do not feel good starting Curtis Samuel over Terry McLaurin. Why? I don't feel good about that at all. Let's pull up Jacoby here too. Jacoby had a huge game last week. He threw a touchdown. He caught a touchdown. I still think his floor is kind of low. Oh, man, the Commanders get the Jets too. Curtis Samuel's coming off a huge game. Terry McLaurin's coming off a horrible game. No, he had a big game too, actually. 26 points. I think I'd go McLaurin over Samuel. I just don't like this matchup against the Jets, though, at all. I think there's a good case for Jacoby. I don't want to start Josh Downs, though. Even with Pittman out, I do not want to start Josh Downs. Odell, Cooks, or Wicks? Yeah, it's Cooks or it's Wicks. I think I'd probably go Wicks over Cooks. Yeah, I have them in tier 6. If you're watching live on TikTok, I got Wicks one spot ahead of Cooks. This is a really tough one here, Alex. I think I would rank these guys as Terry, then Jacoby, then Samuel, then Downs. I think you go Terry over Jacoby. Jacoby's coming off his best game, but he's a really low floor. Against the Chiefs, too. Yeah, I think it's scary, Terry. I think there's a case for you for Jacoby. I would not start Curtis Samuel, though. Ty Chandler or Aaron Jones? Close one. I played Curtis Samuel over Jerry Jeudy, I think, though. Seeing that one in the TikTok live. Ty Chandler. I think it's Aaron Jones. Yeah, it's Aaron Jones over Ty Chandler. Better matchup here for Aaron Jones by a lot. Lions have been top 10 against running backs this season. Panthers have been second worst or third worst against running backs. Achane or Bijan? Let's go to the running back tier list again. It's a close one. But I think you do go Achane over Bijan. I'm not that scared to start Bijan. I'm really not. Like I think starting Bijan's fine. I think Bijan probably will bounce back. I really want to start Achane this week though. Like Achane's definitely one of my must starts of the week. Achane has been over 25 points in half of his games. There's not that much concern around his injury risk. He's played 2 straight games. He's playing around 40% of the snaps. He's in the highest projected scoring game of the week. So yeah, start Achane. I like the spot here for Bijan too against the Colts. Not a bad matchup for him at all. I'm not scared to start him after last week. I do think he will bounce back. Alvin, man, thanks. I know you've been in this live for a while. I've been seeing your comment. Wanted to get to this one, and I know you've been in the live before too. Alvin, shout out to you, man. Merry Christmas to you also. Seriously, man, I appreciate you. All right, I want a piece of the Dolphins game. Me too. So do I play Mostert? Would you start to sit Mike Evans? Yeah, you can't sit either of these guys for Mostert. Half PPR makes it a little bit more enticing. Let's compare. I don't think you can bench DJ Moore. I'm going to switch this to half PPR in a second. I want exposure to this Dolphins game too, but you don't want to force it. Like you want exposure to certain games and certain players sometimes, but also at some level, like you don't want to force it. Matchups are only one component here. Yeah, wow, look at this. It's close, man. It's close. It's a good spot for you for DJ and Evans though. And the Cowboys have been decent against running backs. I mean, Mostert has scored so many touchdowns. I think he leads the league in touchdowns. Let's pull this up here. The Dallas Cowboys versus running backs. They've been 11th fewest. They rank top 5 here, what I'm showing on the screen now. James Cook had a huge game against them last week. Charbonnet did fine the week before that. Not many big games though, really, against the Cowboys overall. I think you got to bench Mostert. If you want a piece of the game though, like really badly, I'd bench Evans before I would bench DJ Moore. If no Jaden Reed, Wicks, Chris Godwin, Curtis Samuel, yeah, Jaden Reed's not playing, Mac. You got. This is one of those cases where he's technically not ruled out yet, but we got to make other plans. Like you got to assume Jaden Reed is not playing. And yeah, it's Chris Godwin. It's Chris Godwin for sure. And then I'd probably go Wicks over Samuel and Jacoby Myers with the knowledge that Jaden Reed is not going to play. But Chris Godwin's easily the best option of those guys. Swift, Monty, or Achane. Yeah, so I'm going Achane over Swift. I'm going Achane over Monty. I'm playing Achane over Saquon. I'm playing Achane over Pollard, Aaron Jones, Bijan, Mostert, Jacobs, Breeze, Ty Chandler, Derrick Henry. I'm playing Achane over all those guys. Achane is an elite option. I mean, there's not very many running backs with the ceiling that Achane has. What's up, Sam? What's going on, Goose? T-Law or Baker? It's T-Law. Yeah, it's T-Law. Both those guys playing each other. Baker has a ceiling, but the floor is lower for Baker for sure. I'll pull up the QB2s here on the TikTok live. Devontae Smith, D-Hop, Aaron Jones in the flex spot. Yeah, this is a close call too between Devontae and Aaron Jones. Let's pull this one up on the YouTube live. We're live on TikTok and YouTube right now, by the way. If you're watching live on YouTube, guys, smash the like button. If you're watching live on TikTok, hit the follow button. I do really appreciate it. All right, Devontae Smith. I'm honestly a little bit nervous for Devontae Smith this week. And then we got Hopkins and Aaron Jones. Wow, D-Hop ranks really high here with Tannehill back. We're going to switch this back to PPR and compare here. And it's D-Hop. Wow. Good matchup for him against the Seahawks. Titans are underdogs. Definitely could see a lot of targets coming his way. He's had 33 targets. 33 targets in his last 3 games, averaging 11 targets a game. I go Hop. I'm going Hop over Devontae Smith. I'm going Hop over Aaron Jones as well. Lamar or Dak? Yeah, so I got the QB tier up right now on the TikTok live. It's Dak. I'm going Dak over Lamar. It's close, though. I think Hurts, Lamar, Dak, and Fields all like similarly elite options. this week. I like Dak in the highest projected scoring game of the week. I think Dak and the Cowboys show up for the first time in a road game. I think the Dolphins also show up for the first time against a good team. I think it's going to be a great game. Devontae Adams or Achane in PPR. Yeah, I think you kind of have to go Adams over Achane in PPR. It's close. Oh, yeah, it's Adams. It's Adams over Achane. Look at the Achane graph is just hilarious, man. I mean, this is like the exact type of archetype I always find myself chasing. Like Achane has a 21% chance to go over 25 points. That is insanely elite. Just a huge, extremely wide range of outcomes here for Achane. Devontae Smith or Zay Flowers? Yes, Devontae Smith over Zay Flowers. Addison or Hubbard? I think I'd probably go Hubbard over Addison. Laporta over McBride or Njoku? Nope, definitely not. I mean, definitely is maybe a little bit overconfident. Laporta's the tight end one last week. Laporta's been great. Laporta's a very good tight end option. But Njoku and McBride are better, in my opinion. I don't see much of an argument for Laporta over McBride and Njoku, given the roles that Njoku and McBride have in their offenses. Like, they're both the top targets in their offenses. Laporta gets the Vikings this week. He had 3 touchdowns last week. Sam Laporta, tight end one easily. But yeah, I think Njoku and McBride get more targets than Laporta this week. RB rankings, PPR, please. Yep, we got RB rankings here. This is PPR. These are rankings and tiers here for you in the TikTok live. Let me put the running back rankings here on the YouTube live. Also, let's get to some running back questions. Happy holidays, my dude. You're a rock star. Happy holidays to you as well, fantasy dude. I appreciate you a lot, man. Happy holidays and keep grinding, man. I see you out there grinding as well. All right, Gibbs or Pollard? Yeah, it's Gibbs. It's got to be Gibbs. Oh, man, I do like Pollard this week too. In the game, it's supposed to be really high scoring. But yeah, you can't bench Gibbs, man. You can't bench Gibbs. It's a better matchup, I think, for Pollard. Gibbs caught a touchdown, ran for a touchdown last week. He was RB3. We've now seen Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs has been a top 3 running back 5 times in his last 8 games. Over half of Jahmyr Gibbs' games in the last, 2 months? A little over 2 months. His last 8 games, he's been a top 3 running back 5 times, over half of the games. He's a top 3 running back in fantasy. Can't bench that. You can't bench that. Jahmyr Gibbs is clearly, just one of those weapons. And the Lions realized it. You got to realize it too. You got to go Gibbs over Pollard. Definitely Gibbs over Pollard. I like Pollard this week too, but it's not as much as Gibbs. Hurts or Dak? Yeah, it's Hurts over Dak. Where is Pollard? Tony Pollard is on here. Tony Pollard is in tier 3, right after Saquon. I'd play Pollard over Aaron Jones. I'd play Pollard over Bijan. I'd play Pollard over Mostert, over Jacobs, over Brees, over Ty Chandler. I'd play Pollard over Derrick Henry. I feel I'm terrified to start Derrick Henry today. Ty Chandler or Ayuk? Oh, gosh, it's Ty Chandler. I think it's Ty Chandler over Ayuk. Ashley, how we doing? Good to see you. TikTok live subscriber join. Bijan or Hall? Yeah, it's Bijan. Yeah, it's Bijan over Brees. Not in the same tier for me this week. Ty Chandler or Chuba Hubbard? I'd like Chuba Hubbard this week. In the prop lines, I think the over-under rushing for Chuba Hubbard today is like 70 yards, 71 yards. And we know he's a capable receiver too. So like not out of the question to see a 100-yard game here from Chuba Hubbard today in a good matchup against the Packers. Chuba Hubbard had at least 20 carries in 3 straight games, at least 22 carries in 3 straight games. Purdy or Fields? It's Fields. It's Fields over Purdy. Start Justin Fields today against the Cardinals. We've seen Chuba Hubbard's receiving role kind of take a step back, but he's still running routes on over half of the dropbacks too here. But Ty Chandler's coming off his best game of the season. Best game of his career, 23 carries, 132 yards. Much tougher matchup for Ty Chandler, though, this week. I do think Ty Chandler has more bust potential here than Chuba Hubbard. I would not be surprised to see Ty Chandler let a lot of people down and be one of those landmines in fantasy where he's coming off his best game of his career. He's going to play a ton. He's going to get a lot of touches, but then, bam, he gets 20 touches, 30 yards. A really inefficient day for a guy that maybe just isn't that good. He's been Alexander Madison's backup for quite some time. That's maybe not the best thing. It's close. Ty Chandler is the better projection, though. I'd argue that Chuba Hubbard's a little bit safer, just a little bit safer. Just we've seen a larger, we have a larger sample size of Chuba Hubbard being good 3 straight games again with at least 22 carries. Better matchup here for Chuba Hubbard too. I'm going Chuba. I'm going Chuba over Ty Chandler. It's a close projection. I'm going with the better matchup and just the safer play here too. Good morning, Sam, the man. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you as well. Merry Christmas Eve to all who celebrate Christmas. Pick 2, Godwin, Aaron Jones, Monty, full PPR. It's the first two. It's Godwin, it's Aaron Jones over Monty pretty easily. Pacheco, Swift, Singletary, Bijan, PPR. Yeah, it's Pacheco and it's Bijan over Swift and Singletary. Let me go to the wide receiver tiers here on the TikTok live. Let me put the wide receiver rankings on the YouTube live to get this next question. Already had Allen and Williams. Need these to hit. Yeah, Corinne Williams, Josh Allen. Yeah, we got it. We got to get hits. We got to get hits. I mean, this is it. This is it. Like all year in fantasy football, the only thing that matters is making the fantasy football playoffs. But the second the playoffs start, none of that matters anymore. It's win, it's go home. We got to make the right decisions at the right time of the year. Singletary or DK for flex. PPR, it's DK, man. You got to go DK Metcalf over Devin Singletary and PPR. Zeke, Jones, Monty. So there's no benching Ezekiel Elliott. I'm honestly surprised I haven't seen more Zeke questions today. Like, I don't think people are quite realizing. I don't think the general population of fantasy players, the general population of NFL fans is quite realizing the role that Zeke has right now. I mean, the role is it's up there with McCaffrey and Corinne Williams and Rachaad White. That's the role that Zeke has right now. Zeke is not coming off the field. Zeke has, 50 carries in his last 3 games, 39. Yeah, exactly 50. Wow, that's some good mental math here on the fly. Yeah, exactly 50 carries for Zeke in his last 3. But the real reason Zeke just can't be benched, especially in PPR leagues, the receiving role, guys. He's had at least an 18% target share in 3 straight games. I don't think you'll find another running back out there that you can say that about. At least 18% target share in 3 straight games. A very, very small list. He has 16 catches in his last 3 games, 50 carries in his last 3 games. That's up to 66 touches. He's averaging 22 touches a game. This is Zeke. And now he gets the Broncos, who are allowing the 2nd most points per game to running backs this season. I mean, you got to start Zeke, man. You got to start Zeke. In PPR, half PPR, non-PPR. Like, I get it. You know, he's on the Pats. They, I think, are the worst offense statistically in the NFL. They probably won't score very many points. But if they do score, it's probably going to be Zeke. And even if they don't score, the floor for Zeke is 10 points. Ashley, good to see you in the YouTube live. Merry Christmas to you as well and all of those who celebrate. Happy PR flex spot here. Flowers, McLaurin, Tyjae Spears. Flowers injury. I do think Flowers is going to play. I do think there is an injury he's dealing with. Yeah, returns to practice Thursday. He's fine. Foot injury, not spotted to practice Wednesday. He did return to practice Thursday, so that's a good sign for Flowers. I'm scared to start McLaurin this week for sure. I'm kind of scared to start all these guys. I think I like Tyjae Spears. I like his props, though, a little bit more than fantasy. Wow, Spears gets a slight edge here. I do think this will be a Spears game. The Titans are 3.5-point underdogs. Achane or Ridley in the flex. Zach, this is a super tough one, man. If this is PPR, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to come back to this one, Zach, because I think it's close between Achane and Ridley. I like both them a lot today. This is a good spot here for Ridley against the Bucs. It's a really good spot here for Ridley for sure. So I'm going to get back to that because I do want to start Achane too. But Tyjae Spears, he's played over half the snaps in 3 straight games. He is the running back that plays when the Titans are losing or when they're in passing situations, which there could be a lot of today. And the Seahawks have been really bad against running backs. Tyjae Spears, we were just hyping up Zeke for having at least an 18% target share in 3 straight games. Spears has done that in 2 of his last 3. Probably pretty surprising for some people to see that. He had a huge receiving day against the Dolphins. 6 catches, 89 yards, receiver-type numbers there for Spears. Good matchup here for Spears, too. Honestly, I think the answer here is Spears. As scary as it is, half PPR, too. Yeah, it's Spears. Half PPR makes this even easier, actually. Thanks for sending the scoring settings along, because half PPR, if we do this comparison, and this is why the scoring settings, guys, they matter so much. This is why the Walter Picks app is unmatched. When you are looking for fantasy insights, go download the free Walter Picks app. It's the best way you can support me, but it's also just the best place you can go for scoring settings specific analysis. This one's not even close now. That's half PPR. So yeah, it's Spears, Ashley. And yeah, half PPR, non-PPR, PPR matters a lot. All right, I want to get to this question from Zach in the TikTok live between Achane and Ridley. 2 guys I really like today a lot are Achane and Ridley. And this is a PPR league, so I'm going to switch this back to PPR. I think PPR, this gets really, really close. Half PPR is probably Achane. Non-PPR is definitely Achane. Full PPR, it's still Achane. It's still Achane. You got to start Achane over Ridley. And let me add just a little bit of context here for this decision, because you got to understand where I'm coming from with why you need to start Achane. I'm taking a big step back for a second. I'm the type of person, I like to chase big rewards. I'm willing to take risks for big rewards. That's why I started Walter Picks 3 years ago. I took all the money I had, I invested it into Walter Picks, and I'm still going. 3 years later, I haven't looked back, because it was a big risk, but I knew the reward was large. It's a similar thing here with Achane this week, zooming in now to this start-sit decision. Achane is as big of a reward as you could find, really. As big of an upside as you can find in fantasy is Devon Achane. He's been over 25 points in half of his games. And the floor really isn't that bad because of his receiving role. He's been out there for over a third of the passing plays for the Dolphins in 3 straight. 2 of those games, he was out there for over half of the passing plays. I'm not that worried about Achane's injury risk at this point. He's played 3 straight games. And this is the highest projected scoring game of the week, too. I do like Ridley in a potential shootout with the Bucs. And there's no Zay Jones. There's no Christian Kirk. That's good for Ridley. But the ceiling is just too enticing with Achane that I'm going Achane over Ridley. That was a long way of saying Achane over Ridley, but you guys get the point. All right, Gibbs versus Pacheco. It's Gibbs over Pacheco. Yeah, I do like Pacheco this week. I'm playing Zeke over Achane. Yep, I really just don't think there's benching Zeke with the role that he has. All right, you mentioned Dobbs over Cooks in my earlier question, but you have Cooks 8 spots ahead of him in your rankings. Change your mind. All right, let me see. Let me go to this one. I might have answered this one quickly. I don't like the matchup here for Dobbs. I do like the environment for Cooks too. Yeah, I'm changing my answer here to this one, Billy. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to change my opinions. I'm willing to change my answers. I think that is a sign of a bad fantasy football analyst or analyst in general when you get take lock. You get locked into takes and you just won't move off it, even as you recognize mistakes, even as you get new information. That's really one of the hardest things. It's something I pride myself on is I will adjust rankings on the fly as new information comes in. I will eat the L's and I will change my answer sometimes if I think I made the wrong call. So yeah, I would start Cooks over Romeo Dobbs. All right, McLaurin or Ty Chandler? It's Ty Chandler over McLaurin. McLaurin gets the Jets today. Not a great spot here for him. Merry Christmas, Sam. Merry Christmas Eve to all of those who celebrate. Happy holidays to all of those who don't. All right, I'm going to get to the creator code. So my creator code is Sam. Sam is the creator code. All right. Wicks, Myers, Jameson Williams, half PPR. Yeah, it's Wicks. I think it's Wicks over Jacoby Myers. I think it's Wicks over Jameson Williams as well. Let's go to the wide receiver tiers here. There's not going to be Christian Watson playing for the Packers. There's not going to be Jaden Reed likely playing for the Packers. That hasn't been officially confirmed. My creator code is Sam. Creator code Sam. DK or Devontae Smith? Oh gosh, I'm nervous about Devontae Smith. As good as he's been in the last month and a half. Goddard's back. Yeah, it's DK. It's DK over Devonta. You have Purdy tier 2. Yeah, I do have Purdy tier 2. Right next to Mahomes. I don't think this is that bad of a ranking, honestly, for Purdy. I get it. We've got the Purdy MVP stance, out in the audience today. It's going to be Purdy or it's going to be Dak or it's going to be Lamar. It's going to be one of those 3 guys. I can almost guarantee you. MVP is a quarterback stat. It's going to be Purdy, Lamar, or Dak. Anyone else, it's not going to be Christian McCaffrey. It's not going to be Tyreek Hill. It's going to be Purdy, Lamar, or Dak. I think Purdy is probably the favorite, though. And yeah, he's a good option. But the Ravens defense is good, for sure. That's why I like Lamar and Dak and Fields and Hurts more than him and Mahomes more than him. This week. Start 2, Laporta, McBride, and Devontae Smith. Yeah, so Laporta versus Devontae Smith is close. I'm definitely starting McBride, though, over Laporta, even though Laporta's coming off an insanely good game where he was tight end 1 last week. He scored 3 touchdowns last week. All right, McBride. Let's do Laporta versus Devontae Smith. This one's probably pretty close. And, yeah, I'm willing to start 2 tight ends these days with some of these tight end options. But, yeah, I'm starting Devontae Smith over Laporta. Can you please show the running back tier list? Yep, I got you with RB tier list. Shout out to everyone in the TikTok live, by the way, guys. If you're watching live on TikTok, smash the like button. If you're watching live on YouTube, smash the like button. We're only An hour and a half in, we got a whole another hour and a half to go, guys. We're not even halfway through the live. We're going to talk about every single player still left to go in this live. We're going to talk about every single game. Let me go game by game here for a second and talk about some of these games that's going to be on our TV screens today and tomorrow. And then we're going to get to every single start sit that we can. We've already gotten to thousands of start sits. We're going to get to thousands more. Also, if I don't get to your specific start sit question, and the rankings on the live stream that I'll show for every position don't help, you got to go to the Walter Picks app. It is the best app for fantasy insights. It's not even close. It is free. It's in the YouTube description. It's in the TikTok bio. Check it out. It's the best way you can support me. Use creator code SAM when you sign up too. All right. ETN, HN, Zeke, or Godwin at flex. PPR projected to lose by 18 because my team didn't want to play. Yeah, Joseph, there's been a lot of that this week. I mean, James Cook let a lot of people down for sure. Joe Mixon had a bad game too. All right. Must start, must sit list, please. Yeah, I'll pull that up on the TikTok live in a second. I'd start Zeke here. I think you start ETN and Zeke over HN. But if you're down by 18, honestly, going HN is not the craziest thing here. It's really not the craziest thing. Honestly, if you're down by 18, like there's very few players that have the ceiling that HN has. He could legitimately just like come back for you. Start one, Sam Laporte to Calvin Ridley or Garrett Wilson PPR. Happy holidays, Sam. Yeah, I think I go Ridley here over Garrett Wilson, over Sam Laporte. This is close. Happy holidays to you as well. Happy holidays to everyone. Seriously, I appreciate you guys, taking a moment out of your holiday weekend and spend it with me. Seriously, guys, time is the most valuable thing we have. I really appreciate you guys spending some time with me today. All right, Garrett Wilson. Yeah, it's Ridley. My gut here was correct. It's Ridley over these guys. Smash the like button. I do appreciate that. People asking for the wide receiver tier list on the TikTok live. I got you with the wide receiver tier list. I got you with the wide receiver rankings on the YouTube live. There's some tough decisions. There's some easy decisions today, like Ezekiel Elliott over Ty Chandler. You're going to play Zeke. Zeke is averaging 22 touches per game in his last 3 games, and he gets the second worst run defense in the NFL today. This list is a joke. Mostert is tier 1. Mostert, I struggle to rank Mostert and David Montgomery every week because the touchdown ceiling is so high, but they're not the best receiving backs on their own team, which I really, really don't like. Mostert's been really consistent, man. At least 10 points in 6 or 7 straight games. He leads the league in touchdowns. I mean, he's got 3 games without a touchdown. But I still like HN more. Zeke or Gibbs. Yeah, God, it's Zeke over Gibbs. It is. As gross as it feels to start Ezekiel Elliott over Jahmyr Gibbs in the fantasy football semifinals, like Gibbs is almost definitely not going to get to the 22 plus touches that Zeke is going to get to. I think Gibbs has a higher ceiling though, just on the offense that he's in his receiving role. And it just his, like, he's way more talented than Zeke, of course. Pick 2, Henry, Kenneth, or Chandler, and show defense and kickers. Sammy's, here we go. I got no defense and kicker rankings for you, but I do have advice for defense and kickers. It's go look at the spreads of the games and play your defenses and kickers based on that. The team that's projected to score the most points, play their kicker. The team that's projected to lose by the most, play the defense that they're playing. So the best defenses today, the Broncos, are the best defense. I don't think you can find a better defense than them. I also like the Chiefs defense. Tomorrow, I like the Eagles defense a lot. I don't hate the 49ers defense. I like the Packers defense a lot too. They're projected to win by a lot, but we got a lot of close projected games today. The Lions and Vikings, only a 2.5 point spread there. I think the Lions win that one in Minnesota. Kind of surprised the spread's only 2.5. We got the Seahawks 3-point favorites in Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill starting for Will Levis. Tough game environment, I think, for Derrick Henry. Don't be surprised if this is a T.J. Spears game rather than a Derrick Henry game. We've seen when the Titans are losing, T.J. Spears comes in, Derrick Henry comes out. When the Titans need to throw the ball, it's T.J. Spears. It's not Derrick Henry. And the Titans are 3-point underdogs today. It should be a close game, though. Geno Smith is going to be back as well. I like Metcalf a lot more than Lockett and JSN right now. And Kenneth Walker's an elite start, too. He just had a really impressive game against the number 1 run defense in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles. Kenneth Walker looked fantastic. Then we got the Packers and the Panthers. There's no Jayden Reed. There's no Christian Watson. That puts Dontavian Wicks in the conversation for fantasy. Yep, Dontavian Wicks is definitely playable, but it's not a great passing environment against the Panthers. The Panthers have been top 5 against quarterbacks this season, and part of the reason they've been so bad against running backs, which is why you got to start Aaron Jones today. And I like Chuba Hubbard against the Packers too. Packers have been horrible against running backs. I would not start Adam Thielen or anyone else in the Panthers. The Browns and the Texans face off against each other. We could have had a Deshaun Watson #revenge game in this one, but nope, we got Joe Flacco going against Case Keenum. I mean, gross. I don't know if they'll show this game on Red Zone a single time. We got Case Keenum going up against, we got Case Keenum going up against Joe Flacco here in the semifinals. It's 2023. I had to double check there for a second. I'm scared for Nico Collins, playing with Case Keenum. I'm scared for Noah Brown. I would not start Noah Brown. Hard pass on Noah Brown, catching passes from Case Keenum against the Browns. I think Jerome Ford, Devin Singletary. I like Singletary more than Ford. I think they're both playable. The Browns defense has not been quite as good as they were earlier in the season. They've had a lot of injuries. But Njoku, elite option. Njoku is on the main slate here today. So I would go McBride or Njoku if you're playing on DraftKings. I do like Njoku a lot. I got McBride ahead of Njoku, though. Hawk or Laporte, I'd go Hawk. I think over Laporte is close, though. Gibbs or Bijan, it's Gibbs over Bijan. Kittle or Njoku, it's Njoku. Let me go to the tight end list. I think the tight ends are pretty straightforward. You start McBride, you start Njoku over basically everyone. And I would actually go Laporte over Hawkinson. I think go Ingram over Hawkinson, too. All right, we got the Colts and the Falcons. Colts are 3-point underdogs playing in Atlanta. Somehow the Falcons are favored in the game in the NFL after what they did last week. The Falcons are 3-point favorites, though. This is a good spot, good bounce back spot here for Bijan. Don't be scared to start Bijan, especially if you don't have any really good options to play over him. Like I'd play Gibbs over Bijan. I'd play Zeke over Bijan. I'd even play Achane over Bijan. But I'm not going to play, Devin Singletary over Bijan Robinson in the fantasy football semifinals. For example, this game has one of the higher over-unders of the slate, too. I'm pretty terrified to start Drake London. I'm pretty terrified to start Kyle Pitts. Taylor Heineke starting this one. We got Gardner Minshew on the other side. JT is back, and there's no Zach Moss. So start Jonathan Taylor for sure. I'd start JT in almost all situations. I got him ranked number 3 in my running back rankings with Zach Moss out. A little bit scary to start him, first game back off the injury. But, is Tyler Goodson really going to take away carries from Jonathan Taylor? No, I don't think so. Pittman somehow cleared concussion protocol, but now he's out. He's not playing today. I still don't love Josh Downs, though. He's been really disappointing in the last month and a half, 2 months. All right, then we got Commanders and the Jets. 3-point underdogs, the Washington Commanders. Sam Howell going against Trevor Siemian. We got some gross quarterbacks playing today, by the way. Jets defense looking like a good one in this one. Low over-under projection here, 37 points. I'm scared to start Brees. I'm okay to start Garrett Wilson, but a little scared too. Like, is Trevor Siemian a capable quarterback? I'm really not so sure. He probably isn't. And that really could make Garrett Wilson a lot riskier than he should be in a great matchup here against the Commanders. But then we got the Jags and the Bucks later today. That game could be pretty high scoring, one of the other high projected scoring games of the week. Only a 1-point spread here between the Jags and the Bucks. I like the Jags to win this one, but I like Chris Godwin. I like Calvin Ridley. I like Evan Ingram. I like Travis Etienne. I like Rachaad White. A lot of good fantasy options in this one. Baker and Lawrence. I like Trevor Lawrence more than Baker, but Baker's in play, man. He was QB1 or QB2. I think QB2 behind Goff last week. I'd play Bijan over Ayuk. I'd play Achane over Bijan. I'd play Achane over Javonte. I'd play Zeke over Achane, especially if you're looking for a high floor. Zeke has about as safe of a floor as you can get. We saw the floor from Zeke last week. It was a really high floor, 9.6 points in PPR leagues for Zeke, despite having a horrible game and against a tough defense. And now he gets the Broncos. The Broncos are allowing the second most points per game to running backs. So yeah, start Zeke, man. All right, so we got a lot of good games in the late part of the window. With 3 games in the late window today, we got some gross games in the early window. We're watching, guys. Here's some of the quarterbacks we're going to watch at 1:00. I'm going to be staring at my TV screen for 4 hours watching these quarterbacks. We got Nick Mullins. We got Ryan Tannehill, Geno Smith. We have Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder, Trevor Siemian, Sam Howell. Let me pull up the QB list here. I mean, this is like, I don't think I've seen a 1:00 window like this. But and then the 4:00 window, at least we got some great matchups. We got the Jaguars and the Bucks. Talked through that one already. We got the highest projected scoring game of the week. Cowboys and the Dolphins. 1-point spread on that game. Dolphins favored by 1. I think the Dolphins show up for the first time against a good team. I think the Cowboys show up for the first time on the road. That's going to be a fun one. Start everyone involved. Try to get a piece of this game. I like Tua and Dak this week. I like Dak more than Tua. Tyreek, I think legitimately could break the NFL receiving record. He needs like 160 yards in this game to like make that realistic going down the stretch. But he could do that. His over-under's in the 90s receiving yards wise. Ridley or JSN. It's Ridley over JSN for sure. Kyler Murray is a decent option. I actually would play Trevor Lawrence over him, but I'd play Kyler over Goff. I'm playing Gibbs over Achane, but that one's pretty close. I like Achane a lot, though. Mostert, Achane, both good options this week. I like Achane a lot. I really think you got to find a spot for Achane where possible. Like, let me go back to the running back tier list here on the TikTok Live, but Achane is a really, really elite option. The ceiling is there. And I'm someone who chases the ceiling. So be careful here a little bit, tailing me on the Achane. Like, we're chasing Achane for the ceiling outcome because he's gone over 25 points in half of his games. So yeah, I'm playing Achane over Saquon. I'm playing him over Pollard. I'm playing him over Aaron Jones. I'm playing Achane over Bijan, over Mostert. I'm playing Achane over Josh Jacobs, over Brees, over Ty Chandler, over Derrick Henry. I'm playing Achane over all those guys. Waddle's a good option too, though. I do think Waddle, I temper expectations for him just a little bit because a lot of his production has come when Tyreek has been out. Still think he's a good option, though. And then the third game, the late window today, we got the Cardinals and the Bears. Kyler Murray, Justin Fields. That should be a fun game. Justin Fields is a really elite quarterback option this week for sure. He could have running back one type numbers. What's good, Sam? Good morning, good afternoon almost to you, Andrew. Geno or Love, Javonte, Chandler, or Monty? Yeah, do not start Jordan Love. Do not start Jordan Love against the Panthers. They've been really good against quarterbacks, partly because they've been so bad against the run. I like Aaron Jones a lot more than I like Jordan Love. So I'd go Geno. Javonte, Chandler, or Monty? Oh, gosh, yeah. So Javonte, Chandler, or Monty. I got Monty a couple spots ahead of Javonte. I got Chandler ahead of both of them. It's Chandler. Let me put the running back rankings here up again on the YouTube Live. We just talked through every single game we're going to see on throughout the day, other than the night game tonight. And the night game tonight is the Patriots and the Broncos. You start the Broncos defense, start Zeke, basically bench everybody else. Like, this is not a game that's going to be very good for fantasy, I don't think. Sutton is definitely startable too. He's been pretty consistent. There's going to be no Devontae Parker in this game, no Hunter Henry in this game either. That is a little bit of a boost to Zeke and DeMario Douglas. But yeah, I'm going Chandler over Monty. I'm going Chandler over Javonte as well. Guys, if you're just tuning in, hit the like button if you're watching live on YouTube. If you're watching live on TikTok, smash the follow button. Wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. Why is JT so high in the rankings? Because Zach Moss is out. JT could legitimately get 80% of the backfield work for the Colts today. And if he does, he's a top 5 running back option, like hands down. There's a reason JT was going in drafts where he was before the injury and the madness before the season happened. JT is really an elite option, really, really an elite option with Zach Moss out and JT back. Do I keep Achane and Gibbs and put in or put Zeke in one of the slots? So yeah, Zach, I'm personally starting Zeke over Achane. I'm starting Gibbs over Achane too. Zeke has a safer floor than Achane. I think they both have decent floors. Zeke is averaging 22 touches a game his last 3 games. He's now coming off the field. The Broncos have also been really bad against running backs. The Broncos have been so much worse against running backs than the Cowboys have been. So yeah, I'm fine going Zeke over Achane. I would start Gibbs though for sure. Thoughts on Saquon? I haven't seen too many Saquon questions. I don't really know what to think exactly about Saquon. Last game out was bad for Saquon. 50% snap share, only 5 points, 5.7 points. The week before that, though, 87%. Like, if the games are close, Saquon can play a lot. But this is not a good matchup here for Saquon. The Eagles are the number 1 run defense in the NFL. They played bad against Kenneth. I really think that was more Kenneth playing well, though. I think Saquon's got a really low floor. I'd be careful with him. Henry, Kenneth, or Chandler, semis, here we go. Here we go, Caleb. That's what I'm talking about, man. Thanks for doing the TikTok live subscription, by the way. Really good way to directly support. The best way you could possibly support me, by the way, is download the Walter Picks app, which is free. It's in the TikTok bio. It's in the YouTube description. It is the best fantasy app you will find for deciding on start decisions, trades, ads, drops. Best place to go for player props and DFS advice too. But yeah, I'm going Kenneth Walker here over Derrick Henry. I think I would go Ty Chandler over Derrick Henry too. I'm scared for Derrick Henry. This is not a Derrick Henry game script. They're 3-point underdogs. This is a good matchup for Derrick Henry, at least against the Seahawks, who have been pretty bad against running backs this year. But I won't be surprised if it's a big Tyjae Spears game rather than Derrick Henry game. I think I would go Kenneth Walker and Ty Chandler over the king, Derrick Henry. I would argue, by the way, I feel weird, telling all these people to bench Derrick Henry in the fantasy football semifinals, because I really think Derrick Henry has a good argument for being the best running back, the best rusher in NFL history. I think you could make a real argument for Derrick Henry. I don't think people maybe realize entirely like the body of work Derrick Henry has put out there in really like the last decade is almost unmatched. He had 3 straight years where he averaged over 100 rushing yards per game. Like we just don't see that in today's NFL. But yeah, Kenneth Walker, Ty Chandler, here we are, towards the end of Derrick Henry's elite run. And he only had 5 points last week. It's a better matchup this week. He had 16 carries, but averaged 0.6 yards per carry. He's been at 2 yards per carry or less, Derrick Henry, in his last 2 games. I'm going Ty Chandler. I'm going Kenneth Walker. Pick 2. Metcalf, Waddle. Yeah, I'm going Metcalf over Waddle. Dak or Murray, I'm going Dak. JT or Josh Jacobs, it's JT. Derrick Henry or Devontae Smith is Devontae Smith. Laporta or Hill, game time decision. I mean, Tyreek Hill is going to play. Let me pull up the news, though. We probably have gotten some news out recently. Actives today. Alexander Madison is active. A.J. Dillon is active. Nico Collins is active. Chig Okonkwo is active. Inactives. Jaden Reed, Will Levis, Christian Watson. They're all inactive. I think Tyreek's going to be active. I guess that's a later window game, but he's going to play. The top 2 Packers receivers today are Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks. JSN or Likely in the flex. It's close. I think I'd probably go JSN over Likely. Jones or Henry, I'd go Jones over Henry. What is up, Sam? Reed is out. Start Wicks over Ayuk. Oh, gosh, no. Michael, don't do that. Don't do that. Start Ayuk over Wicks. This is not a good passing game environment for the Packers. Let me pull up Jordan Love so we can compare. I think Jordan Love and Russell Wilson are both stay-aways for me today, and a big part of that is their matchups. The Panthers are allowing the 5th fewest points per game to quarterbacks this season. We have really seen quarterbacks struggle against the Carolina Panthers, and it's not even that the Panthers' secondary is like super elite. They aren't bad, but their run defense is so bad and their offense is so bad that there's just not a big reason to throw a lot against the Carolina Panthers. We saw Desmond Ridder go under 10 points. Derek Carr went under 15 points. Baker Mayfield went under 15 points. Will Levis went under 15 points. Dak only had 16 points against the Panthers. Tyson Bagent did nothing against them. Gardner Minshew, CJ Stroud went under 15 points. This is their last 8 games, guys. Everyone's gone under 20 points against the Carolina Panthers. It's because they're not throwing enough against a horrible offense and a horrible run defense. So, yeah, I'd go Ayuk over Wicks. I'd be careful with Wicks. I think he is startable in a lot of spots, but I have no faith in Jordan Love really today. 49ers or Browns? I think I like the Browns defense more than the 49ers defense. So why Wicks over Downs? Yes, because Downs has been terrible. He's just been bad for fantasy. I think Downs is good. I think Downs will have a good NFL career. I also am not so sure he's 100% healthy. He only played 59% of snaps last week in a game where Michael Pittman got hurt. When I thought about that Colts game again too last week against the Steelers, Pittman goes down early, and where was Josh Downs? He only played 59% of the snaps. He only finished with 4.9 fantasy points. Josh Downs has had under 10 points in 5 straight games. 6 straight games. 6 straight games for Josh Downs under 10 points. He's done nothing. I would be very careful with Downs. There's a story we can tell with Pittman now, but I think Alec Pierce honestly maybe fills that Pittman role more than Josh Downs does. Kmet or Waller? I'd go Waller over Kmet. I think Waller's a really sneaky tight end option. I thought last week, honestly, I'm pretty proud of the call last week on Darren Waller. I had to make a tough call in one of my leagues, Likely versus Waller. I went with Likely. That was the right choice. And the reason I benched Waller last week, because it was his first game back. There's a decent amount of risk for Waller's first game back. Who knows? They probably would ease him in, and they did end up easing Waller in. But that only leaves more room to grow here for Waller. He only played 41% of the snaps last week. He still had an 18% target share, 4 catches for 40 yards. Now he gets a spot against the Eagles where the Giants are going to get crushed. Eagle secondary has been horrible. And I don't know, maybe the Waller snap percentage goes from 40% to 60%, 70%. If it gets to 80%, Waller's all of a sudden top 5 upside again. I think Waller's a sneaky play. I would play him over Kmet. QB tiers, I got you. I'll go to running backs. Next, then receivers. Let me pull up the QB tiers here on the TikTok and YouTube lives. Kittle. What about Kittle? He's okay. High upside, high floor. Sorry, high upside, low floor for Kittle. Fields or Baker? Yeah, so let's talk about these QBs. You got to start Fields. You got to start Fields over Baker. This is a really, really good spot here for Fields. And Fields is really kind of playing for a lot right now. He's trying to prove himself to either stay on the Bears or prove himself to land a starting job somewhere else. And I think Fields could kind of cement it here against the Cardinals. He could go for 100 rushing yards, Fields. I have Fields. God, let me pull the rankings on the YouTube too. I think I would play Lamar over Fields. It's super, super close. I think Fields, Lamar, Dak, Hurts, they're all very similar options in terms of the way I think about them this week. They're the clear top 4, in my opinion. But yeah, Fields is a really, really good option against the Cardinals. They've not been a good defense this year. Fields could go over 100 rushing yards. He could have multiple touchdowns in this one for sure. Similar thing with Lamar. Lamar's been running a lot. Keaton Mitchell being out. fire up Lamar, I think, with a lot of confidence, even in a tough matchup against the 49ers. Lamar has ran the ball at least 11 times in 3 straight games. He had 97 rushing yards last week. Thoughts on Hurts or Dak? Yeah, it's Hurts. I think it's Hurts over Dak. Hurts gets the Giants. I have Dak ahead of Hurts in my rankings here on the YouTube Live. I think I'd go Hurts, though. Hurts has been so incredibly consistent, as has Josh Allen, who had 2 rushing touchdowns last night. And it's a similar thing with Hurts, with the rushing touchdowns just so consistent. He's been a top 12 quarterback in all but 1 game. He's been a top 10 fantasy football quarterback in all but 2 games since week 2. I mean, you gotta start. Jalen Hurts. Gotta start to Pacheco, Mostert, Kenneth Walker, James Conner, Achane. Yeah, so let's go to the running back tier list here again. I do like Pacheco a lot. I think Pacheco needs to be started. I think it's Pacheco and Kenneth. I'd start Pacheco and Kenneth over Achane. I like Achane more than Mostert. I like Achane and Mostert more than Conner. But yeah, Pacheco and Kenneth are both really good options. There's no Jerick McKinnon too. Player props. Yep, we got people coming back for the free player prop of the day at this point of the season because we have crushed on the free player props. Like if you had put $10 on every single free player prop we've given on these live streams throughout the season, I think you'd be up over $100 at least. I mean, we're 25 and 11. If you were compounding those two, you could be up thousands. We are 25 and 11 on the free player props on these live streams. We cashed Tyler Higbee's over very easily. He had a 20-yard catch in the first quarter. His over-under was 21.5 or 23.5. They cashed instantly, basically. This is going to take a little bit longer to cash because it's an under, but I really like the Dalvin Cook under rushing yards today, under 17.5 rushing yards. Let me pull it up for the TikTok live as well for the people in the back. Dalvin Cook under 17.5 rushing yards. He had 1 carry last week. He's playing behind Israel Abikanda. There's no reason for Dalvin Cook to be involved in this game, and he can go under 17.5 rushing yards even if he gets some carries. 2 weeks ago, he had 7 carries, only 13 yards against the Texans, 1.9 yards per carry. There is a lot of red here on the efficiency for Dalvin Cook. He's been one of the least efficient running backs in the NFL. He's the 3rd running back on the team right now behind Breece Hall, behind Israel Abikanda. There's no reason for Dalvin Cook to even play. I think there's a good chance that Dalvin ends with 0 rushing yards in this game. I think a better chance he ends with 0 rushing yards than he ends with 20. So yeah, I'm going Dalvin Cook under 17.5 rushing yards. That's the free player prop of the day. Cash that one with me. As always, by the way, if you haven't used Sleeper yet, go download Sleeper. If you probably already have it. Go deposit on Sleeper. If you've never deposited on Sleeper before and you use code Walter when you sign up, you'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So you go deposit $100, you'll get $200 instantly. And then you're going to ride the Dalvin Cook under with me. And then I like the Tyjae Spears over. There's a lot of good other props out there. You can find more prop advice too in the Walter Picks app. But appreciate everyone who takes up the opportunity for that deposit match on Sleeper with code Walter. Linked to that also is in the YouTube description if you're looking for it. Kraft or Waller? Yeah, it's Waller or Kraft. Easy. T-Law or Goff? Yeah, this one's close, man. I think it's T-Law. I got them back-to-back here. Nico or Devontae Smith? I'd go Devontae Smith over Nico. Nico Collins catching passes from Case Keenum. I'm pretty scared for him. I'm pretty scared. Hey, Sam, sorry, last question. Should I go Bears defense or Chiefs defense? You got to go with the Chiefs defense here. I get the Bears defense has been good. Not even necessarily like a bad matchup here for the Bears against the Cardinals. But the Chiefs get Aiden O'Connell, and the Bears get Kyler Murray. I mean, these are not comparable quarterbacks. They're not comparable offenses. I think the Chiefs defense it deserves to be started over the Bears defense. They're 10.5-point favorites versus the Bears are 4-point favorites. Aaron Jones or Mostert need as much upside as possible. Losing matchup from yesterday. Oh gosh, I kind of think Aaron Jones has more upside than Mostert because Mostert's going to be splitting work with Achane. Mostert, there's an argument he has a higher upside just because that game's projected to be higher scoring. But Aaron Jones against the Panthers, I do like that a lot. Lamar or Dak? Yeah, I got Dak over Lamar. It's really close. I think Lamar, Dak, Hurts, and Fields are all comparable this week. Mostert, Zeke, or Pollard? I'd go Zeke. All right, let's take a sip of this coffee before we get to the final stretch of this live stream. We've been live for 2 hours. We got football on our TV screens in like 1 more hour. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube and you haven't hit the like button yet, smash the like button. Hit the like button. I do appreciate it. If you're watching live on TikTok, guys, hit the follow button. I appreciate you guys all so much. Seriously, Merry Christmas Eve, to all who celebrate. Happy holidays, everyone too. I appreciate you guys spending time with me, around the holidays. We are just getting started. We're going to still get to so many of the start sits in the comments. We're going to get to every game, every player. As always, though, I can't get to all start sits. It's impossible for me to get to all the start sits in this live. There's tens of thousands of start sits from start to finish in this live stream. I'm going to get to thousands, but not tens of thousands. That's just unrealistic. But the best place to go for start sits is available to you for free. It's in the TikTok bio. It's in the YouTube description. Use code SAM when you sign up. That does help me out. The Walter Picks app is the best place to go for start sit decisions. I have it up on the YouTube live right now. I use it constantly to answer some of these start sits and to make my own rankings too. Check that out if I don't get to start sit. All right, we got, what's up, Sam? Do I start Drake London, Teosha Spears, or Noah Brown for flex? Yeah, so it's not Noah Brown. I'm hard passing Noah Brown today. Like hard pass for me on Noah Brown. He's catching passes from Case Keenum. He plays the Browns. No thanks. Drake London, I think, is in play. He's got Taylor Heineke. It's going to be Teosha Spears, I think, over Drake London. Yeah, I'd go Spears. I'd go Spears over London. Rice or Achane? No benching Rashee Rice. Start Rashee Rice for sure. Wicks or Flowers? It's Flowers over Wicks. Swift or Nico? I'd probably go Swift over Nico. And Njoku or Pacheco? Wow, that one's actually really close. Probably Pacheco. It's probably Pacheco over Njoku. Some of these tight end decisions are tough with how good Njoku, McBride, and Laporta have been playing. It was Pacheco, yeah. Yeah, it's Pacheco. You got to go Pacheco over Njoku. Achane or Etienne? I'm going Etienne over Achane. Hopkins over Flowers. Swift over Derrick Henry. Pacheco over Devontae Adams. Pacheco's in a really good spot, guys. The Raiders' defense has not been good against running backs. There's no McKinnon. Clyde's been playing well, but the last two games, we saw Pacheco. He went over 20 points. Like, he was playing really well. And I don't think he's going to be very limited. Chandler, Nico, Connors. Yeah, it's Ty Chandler over Nico and over James Conner. I'm playing Zeke over Metcalf. I'm playing Zeke over Godwin. I think Zeke has arguably the second or third highest floor in all of fantasy. Like, he's averaging 22 touches a game. The Browns have been, not the Browns. The Broncos have been really bad against running backs. Walker or JT? It's JT, man. There's no benching JT. I do like Walker a lot this week, but there's no benching Jonathan Taylor with Zach Moss out. Ty Chandler, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones over Ty Chandler. I'm playing Fields over Purdy. I'm playing Baker over Flacco. I'm playing Ingram over Goddard. Hopkins over Sutton. Addison, London, Spears or Ford. I already made the mistake of starting Eckler, LOL, and smashed to like Kevin. Honestly, Eckler did better than I expected last night. He didn't score, so he didn't end up with that many fantasy points. We don't have the numbers in here yet for Eckler, but wasn't the worst. It could have been much worse there for Austin Eckler last night. All right, we got Addison, London, Spears, Ford. Addison and Ford. I would play Spears over London. I already talked about that one. I do think Spears is a sneaky sleeper this week. But yeah, it's Addison. It's Addison over London and Spears. We saw the ceiling from Addison last week. It's potentially a high-scoring game here, too, against the Lions. Aaron Jones or Walker. Yeah, so let's go to the running back tiers here on the TikTok Live. I do think I have Kenneth Walker ahead of Aaron Jones. I do. I'd go Kenneth. I really like the Broncos defense. Broncos and Chiefs defense, I think, are probably the top two defenses, in my opinion. I kind of like the Broncos defense more than the Chiefs defense, though. Down bad for round 2. Josh Downs or Douglas. So Devontae Parker, if that's what you're talking, I don't think Devontae Parker's playing this week. Or maybe it's Hunter Henry and Devontae Parker is playing. I wouldn't play Devontae Parker. I'd play Douglas. I'd play Jamario Douglas over Josh Downs, and I'd play him, I think, over Thielen also. I don't feel great about Josh Downs. He's been under 10 points in 6 straight games. Pittman's out, but he barely played last week when Pittman went out. Achane or Mostert? I like Achane more than Mostert. I like JT more than Jacobs. All right, let's rip through. We're gonna go rapid fire in the comment section here in the YouTube live. I'm gonna try to get to 100 comments in the next 5 minutes. All right, we're gonna go rapid fire. So I might not have too much analysis here. Having a hard time pick Philly or Cleveland D. Go Philly. Go Philly. They're gonna crush the Giants. Hey Sam, I'm 14 years old and I was wondering if I could do an intern to do some basic things to help out with Walter Picks app. I want to gain experience in computer programming as I continue high school. Jason, you can email me, sam@walterpicks.com. Can't promise anything, of course. But definitely happy to chat. All right. Sam at walterpicks.com. That's the email. Hey, Sam, happy Sammys. Wicks or Evan Ingram? It's Ingram. It's Ingram over Wicks. I think pretty easily here. Ingram over Wicks. I'm scared for the whole passing attack of the Packers against the Panthers. Lost Pittman or Jaden Reed? And Jaden Reed, do I start Dobbs, Gibson, or Herbert? Yeah, this is tough, man. I think it's Gibson. I think it's Gibson here over Dobbs and Herbert. I was shocked, honestly, at the Gibson role last week. I mean, they basically just took Chris Rodriguez and just shoved him into the Brian Robinson role and didn't change Antonio Gibson's role at all with Brian Robinson out. I mean, pretty shocking stuff when you really step back and think about that. Only 4 carries for Antonio Gibson with Brian Robinson out. Like, make that make sense, man. He had a 15% target share, though, did have 5 catches. So the receiving role is definitely going to be there. Khalil Herbert is definitely an interesting one. Good matchup for Khalil Herbert against the Cardinals. Roschon Johnson, though, taking all the receiving work from him. There's no Deontay Foreman. Dobbs, you can tell a story about too here. These are really similar comparable options. Let's do this comparison quick. Yeah, it's Gibson. It's Gibson, then it's Dobbs, then it's Herbert. And Herbert, again, good matchup for Herbert. The Cardinals have been horrible against running backs. We've seen Herbert have moments early in this season, but he's had mostly terrible games. And Roschon Johnson is better than him. And he's not going to catch passes. And Justin Fields is probably going to lead the team in rushing. I don't know. I'd go Gibson, I think, over these guys. All right, Zeke, London, Ford. Yeah, it's good. It's Zeke. It's Zeke over London, Ford. This one's not close. It's Zeke. Zeke's averaging 22 touches a game in his last 3 games. JSN, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, Alec Pierce, Curtis Samuel, Romeo Dobbs. Oh, man, I want this to be Nico Collins, and it probably is Nico Collins. Let me go to the wide receiver tiers on the YouTube, TikTok Live. Let me pull the wide receiver rankings on the YouTube Live as well. I want this to be Nico Collins, but he's catching passes from Case Keenum today against the Browns. It really might be Curtis Samuel. It's Nico. Yeah, it's Nico Collins. You got to start Nico here. Even though he's catching passes from Case Keenum, even though he's playing the Browns, he's the clear top receiving option with no Tank Dell. Just volume alone, he's probably going to get near 9 or 10 targets. So, yeah, it's Nico over Zay. It's Nico over Alec Pierce. It's Nico over Curtis Samuel. It's Nico over Romeo Dobbs as well. Would you rather have Gibbs and Keeper for a 3rd round next year, or Addison or Rice for a 9th round? I'm taking Gibbs. I'm taking Gibbs for sure. Gibbs is going to be a 1st-round pick next year. Rice in the 9th sounds pretty enticing. I like that a lot more than Addison in the 9th. Jefferson's going to be back. Yeah, next year, almost definitely. Rice is probably going to be the top receiving option for Mahomes. Honestly, Rice in the 9th versus Gibbs in 3rd is close. It's close. But I'm more confident that Gibbs will be a 1st rounder. Rice is not going to be a 1st-round pick. Locking in a 1st-round pick in the 3rd round is pretty elite. I'd just take Gibbs. I think he's the best option there. I'm taking Gibbs over Brees this week for sure. Parker, Washington, or Tiaje. I'm playing Tiaje Spears over Parker, Washington. I'm playing Pacheco over Bijan. I'm playing Tua over Baker. Monty, Aaron Jones, Zeke, Ayuk. Yeah, so this is Zeke and Aaron Jones. It's Zeke and Aaron Jones over Monty and Ayuk. They both have really good matchups, Zeke and Aaron Jones. Should I play Singletary or David Montgomery, full PPR? Oh, man, I really want the answer to be Monty with how good of a season he's had. But the answer is Singletary, man. The role for Singletary is better than the role for Monty, for sure. I mean, look at these numbers for Singletary up on the YouTube live screen. 26 carries last game, 75% snap share. We're just not going to see that from David Montgomery because Jahmyr Gibbs is better than him. 17 carries, only half the snaps. He didn't score last week. Last week, the last 3 games, really, we've seen just a lack of ceiling for Monty as Gibbs gets more and more involved and makes more of the explosive plays. I'd go Singletary over Monty. I play Waller over Tiaje Spears. I'm playing Pacheco over Laporta. We got a defense question here. Jets or Browns or Broncos? Start the Broncos. Start the Broncos defense, guys. The Broncos defense is playing the worst offense in the league. Zeke is the only startable player on the entire Pats team. It's not even close. Yeah, I'm going Gibbs over Brees. I'm playing JT over ETN. I'm not benching JT. McBride over Evan Ingram for sure. Let me go to the tight end tiers. There's a lot of good tight ends. Evan Ingram's one of them, but he's not as good of an option as Trey McBride or David Njoku or Sam Laporta. Waddle, Achane, and Wilson. Yeah, I would probably bench Garrett Wilson. Zeke or Henry? I'm playing Zeke over Henry easily. I'm playing Zeke over Jahmyr Gibbs too. I don't feel as good about that, But I do think Zeke will get more touches than Jahmyr Gibbs. Zeke is averaging 22 touches per game in his last 3 games. Mullins or Howell? I'd go Howell, I think, over Mullins. Let me pull up the QB list here again, though. Mullins is... Yeah. I changed my answer there. It's Nick Mullins over Sam Howell. I play Nick Mullins over Sam Howell. You pulled it up and never answered, bro. Zach Davis, I got you, man. Happy holidays to you as well, guys. Merry Christmas Eve to all those who celebrate. Happy holidays to all of those who don't. Devontae Smith, Chuba Hubbard, Javonte Williams at flex. Yeah, I think this is Chuba Hubbard or Devontae Smith. I don't love Javonte Williams against the Pats. It's probably going to be Devontae Smith here. Yeah, you got to go Devontae Smith. And then I'm playing Waller over Kmet. I am. I think Waller's a really sneaky play because, like, we saw a pretty encouraging first game back from Darren Waller. It was a good matchup, but he's got another good matchup this week. The Giants are going to have to throw in this game. The secondary is horrible for the Eagles. The run defense is elite. They're one of the most pass funnel. They've been the most pass funnel defense in the league. Them, the Bucks, the extremely pass funnel defenses. 18% target share for Waller last week, despite only playing 41% of the snaps. So yeah, I like Waller, man. I think if he gets like a 60%, 70% snap share, which seems very realistic to me, all of a sudden he has got top 5 tight end upside. I think a higher upside than Kmet. The Cardinals have actually sneakily been good against tight ends this year too. So better matchup for Waller than Kmet. QB list, I got you with the QB list. And Njoku or Laporta, I'm going to Njoku over Laporta. Aaron Jones or Nico Collins? Definitely Aaron Jones. Nico Collins is catching passes from Case Keenum. I would play Zay Flowers over Drake London. I'm playing Ty Chandler over DeAndre Swift. Wicks over Dobbs. I feel weird about that one too, but I would go Wicks over Dobbs. Godwin or Bijan? This one's close, man. I'm not scared. I'm not scared to start Bijan. I don't think you should be scared to start Bijan either. I like Godwin though. Godwin's got 25 targets in his last 2 games after complaining after a few games ago after that he wasn't getting targeted enough. 23 targets in his last 2 games for Chris Godwin, coming off a 25-point game in a good spot here against the Jags, but a good spot here for Bijan against the Colts too. I'm willing to risk it again with Bijan. Wow, look at these. Both guys projected 13.3. I'm going Bijan over Godwin. I'm playing Bijan over Singletary also. I'm playing Bijan over Hawkinson. Singletary versus Hawkinson, I think, is close. Let's do this one quick. I think it's probably going to be Singletary. Yep. Singletary over Hawkinson. Lamar or Tua, it's Lamar over Tua. Why Flacco over Love? Because Love is playing the Panthers. The Panthers have held every single quarterback under 20 points for like 8 straight weeks. So I do not like Jordan Love with any of the passing attack really for the Packers today. The Panthers offense is so bad and their run defense is so bad that teams just don't end up throwing a lot against the Panthers. It's not even like their secondary is that good. And Njoku or Kelsey, starting Pacheco and Rice. Wow. Yeah, I mean, you got to start Kelsey. You got to start Kelsey over Njoku. It's super close. But like starting Kelsey, Pacheco, and Rice, especially with McKinnon and Hardman and Scantling out, like pretty good, I think. Pretty good. Like one of those guys at least is going to go over 20 points. They're probably going to combine for close to 60 points. I'm going Gibbs over Bijan for sure. Gibbs over Bijan. Wide receiver rankings, I got you. I'm playing Zeke over Brees. Yep. What's up, Sam? Love your work. Thanks, man. Need 3. Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, Javonte Williams, Devin Singletary. Yeah, you benched Javonte here. I think you benched Javonte. Javonte versus Josh Jacobs is close. Let's pull up the numbers here for Javonte. We haven't really looked much at him on the live stream yet. Walter picks app. Walter's got Javonte over Josh Jacobs. By the way, the Walter projections, guys, there's not a better projection out there than the Walter Picks app projections. Again, the app is free. It's in the YouTube description. It's in the TikTok bio. You get these projections for free. You can compare as many players as start-sit decisions as you need to for free in the app. Best way to support me too is downloading the app. Use code SAM when you sign up as well. But Javonte is projecting better. So let's look at this one a little bit closer. Javonte's coming off his worst game in quite some time. Only 4 points against the Lions. Makes me a little bit scared too. Looking at this, makes me a little bit scared for Ty Chandler. I really think Ty Chandler, he could be one of those landmines this week. One of those landmines that so many people are in. Ty Chandler, he had his best game of his career last week, but he's got a much tougher matchup this week. Anyways, Javonte Williams, he only played half the snaps. He's going to get around half the snaps. He's going to be the leading rusher on the team. Other guys are coming in a lot for the receiving work, but he still had consistent receiving role too. And then we look at Josh Jacobs, and Jacobs is a really tough one this week because he's hurt. He missed last week. He's supposed to play, upgraded to limited. So he's like, hasn't even gotten a full practice with a quad injury. I do think he's going to play, but how much will he be limited? Like, it's just a big unknown, really. And there's not much incentive at this point for the Raiders to give Josh Jacobs like a massive workload. The Broncos at least are still in the hunt. I think I'd go Javonte. I think I'd go Javonte over Josh Jacobs after looking at this a little bit further. I do like Javonte more than Jacobs. So I'd bench Jacobs. I'd play Aaron Jones. I'd play Javonte. I'd play Devin Singletary too over both those guys. Hey, Sam, start two. Bijan, Chuba, Chandler. Thank you. Bench Chandler. Bench Chandler here. Play Bijan over Chandler easily. Easily we're playing Bijan over Chandler. And I play Chuba Hubbard against the Packers too over Chandler against the Lions. The Lions' run defense has been good. Running back rankings, I got you. With the RB rankings, I got you. With the running back tier list as well in the TikTok live. Guys, shout out to everybody in this live stream right now. Hit the subscribe button if you're watching live on YouTube. Seriously, I appreciate everyone that's here so much. One of the easiest ways that you can help me out in like literally the next 5 seconds. If you're watching live on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're watching live on TikTok, tap the screen, send a like, hit the follow button. If you haven't followed yet, like 5 seconds, I'm telling you guys, like that helps me out way more than you guys realize. All right, let's run through some of the big things today. So Weatherman Sam has been here all season, guys. This is our 16th straight Sunday morning live, and we've been through some weather together. We're not going to be through any concerning weather today, though. Zero concerning weather for the fantasy football semifinals, just like we would want to draw it up. So no weather concerns at all. Also, I see some of you asking for the free player prop. As always, we are 25 and 11 on the free props this season, and we're about to go to 26 and 11. Dalvin Cook, under 17.5 rushing yards. He had 1 carry for 4 yards last game. The game before that, he had 7 carries for 13 yards. Israel Abikanda is playing over him. No thanks to Dalvin Cook, but yes, please, to his under rushing yards. I think he has a better chance to go 0 yards than over 17.5. Hey, Sam, you taking Dak over Lamar in 4-point passing TD? Like that really is so close. It's so close. With Lamar, with the way Lamar's been running, in 4-point passing TD leagues, like it's tough. It's tough to be benching Lamar. Lamar had 97 rushing yards in his last game. He's had at least 11 carries now. In 3 straight games, he's had at least 8 carries now. In 6 straight games, Keaton Mitchell is out. Like Lamar is going to run a lot. It's a tough matchup here against the 49ers. They are a very good defense. They are a well-equipped defense to stop someone like Lamar rushing-wise. But yeah, I think I would go Lamar over Dak in a 4-point passing touchdown league. And then Chiefs or Jets defense, or it's Chiefs. Play the Chiefs defense against the Raiders for sure. Thoughts on Pollard? Yeah, I like Pollard this week. I want pieces. I just want pieces of that Cowboys-Dolphins game where possible. Projected highest scoring game of the week. I'm playing Wicks over Parker Washington and over Josh Downs. We're digging deep here. But Josh Downs is like, he's just not startable. Like I get the story for Downs with Pittman out, but where was that last week? Pittman went out and Downs only played 59% of the snaps. He went under 10 points again for the 6th straight game. Like Wicks and Parker Washington are both better options than Downs, in my opinion. I think Wicks is the best of the 3. Parker Washington's better matchup here. Let's actually do Parker Washington versus Wicks. I may be overlooking Parker Washington like a bit. I think Wicks has been better though. Let's pull up the game logs here for Parker Washington. Yeah, it's gotta be Wicks here. We've seen 1 game over 10 points for Parker Washington, even in a good matchup here. We've seen multiple games over 10 for Wicks. We've seen better efficiency from Wicks. There's no Jaden Reed. There's no Christian Watson too. Flex Achane or Aaron Jones is Achane. I'm playing McBride over Njoku. Non-PPR is close though. I mean, it's just a grosser decision in non-PPR, but it's still McBride over Njoku, I think. Concern about Chandler? Yep, definitely have some concern about Chandler. I'd play him over Jake Ferguson, though, still. JT and Gibbs over Swift easily. Hubbard or Monty? It's Hubbard over Monty. Tight end rankings, please. I got you with the tight end rankings. Let me pull up the tight end rankings on the YouTube live as well. Guys, shout out to everybody in this live stream. Guys, we're heading to the last 20 minutes of this live right now. Week 16, you already know that when you make it to the finals next week, I'll be right here Sunday morning, Thursday night to wrap up the season. This will be our 17th straight Sunday morning live, man, for 3 straight hours every Sunday morning from basically when I wake up to when the games start. Do I start Romeo Doubs over Ty Chandler because Watson and Reed are out? No. I think these are both, like, to some extent, landmines. By landmines, I mean guys that a lot of people could play and a lot of people could be not so happy that they played them. Like both these guys have big bust potential. That's what I'm saying. Romeo Doubs and Ty Chandler. Romeo Doubs has big bust potential, even with Christian Watson and Jaden Reed out, because the Panthers are not a good team to play for passing success because their offense is awful. So they can't score points on offense, the Panthers. And then their run defense is awful. So like in those two things together just means not very much passing happens against the Carolina Panthers. It's why no quarterback has been over 20 fantasy points against the Panthers for 2 straight months. It's why I don't think you can start Jordan Love. It's why I'm a little scared about Romeo Doubs. Ty Chandler's a landmine because the Lions' run defense has been good. The Lions held Javonte Williams to 4 points last week. Javonte Williams is, you guessed it, better than Ty Chandler. The Lions have been getting crushed through the air, but they held Javonte Williams to 4 points. Alvin Kamara had a big game against them, but other than that, basically every running back's been under 15 against the Lions. Ty Chandler's coming off his best game of his career, though. A long way of saying I'm scared for both these guys. I'd play Ty Chandler, though, over Romeo Doubs. All right, Geno, Love, or Mullins. I don't want to start Jordan Love. Just talk through that one a little bit. Geno versus Mullins, I think is actually kind of close. Yeah, I got Nick Mullins ahead of Geno, which is pretty ridiculous. But I guess the matchup's better for Geno. Better for Mullins. I went into this season, and I think there may be still an argument for this, but probably not. Probably not as much of an argument for this, especially if you expand out to tight ends. But I went into this season arguing that Geno Smith, there was not a better group of 3 wide receivers on a team than Geno Smith had in the Seahawks with Jackson Smith and Jigba, who I was pretty high on before the season. I still think is really good. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. But if you extend that out, the 49ers, even the Dolphins, if you include some of the running back options here, like there's better 3 weapons out there than those 3. But anyways, Nick Mullins, he's got a better matchup against the Lions. Yeah, the Lions are a really good team to target for passing. They've been one of these pass funnel defenses. Their run defense is good. Their pass defense sucks. Their offense is good enough to force you to pass too. So like they're right up there with the Eagles in terms of pass game environments. Douglas, Downs, or McBride for flex. It's definitely McBride over Douglas and Downs. Not even close. You got to go McBride over Douglas and over Downs. All right, we're going to turn on the TikTok Live subscription-only comments now to make sure I get to all the TikTok Live subscriber comments. Sub-only chat is going on. Doing the TikTok Live subscription does help me out a lot. And my promise to all the TikTok Live subscribers, it's like $5 a month or something. I will get to 100% of the comments, 100% of the lives. All right, Pollard, Taylor, or Kenneth? It's Taylor. I think it's Taylor. I like all 3 of these guys. I have them all ranked pretty high. We'll go to the running back tier list here on the TikTok Live. I got them all ranked pretty high, but JT's the highest. I'll go to the running back rankings here too on the YouTube Live. Start Samuel, OBJ, Douglas at flex PPR. I think it's Samuel. JT or Rice, PPR, appreciate you. Oh gosh, I think it's Rice over Jonathan Taylor. In a PPR league, it's a really close call. Yeah, it's Rice. I'd go Rice. You can't bench Rice right now. Can't bench Rice. Lamar or Fields? Yeah, I do like that Fields DJ Moore stack a lot. Let me go to the QB tiers here. I think Fields over Lamar is fine. It's reasonable. Minshew, Mullins, or Geno. Yeah, I think Mullins here makes sense. I would go Mullins over Minshew and over Geno. Connor or Chandler? It's Chandler over Connor. I don't feel great about either of them, but I think it's Chandler. Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, Mostert, Pollard, Devontae, pick 3. So with this 1.5 PPR for tight ends, start McBride and Laporta. And then I think it's Pollard. I think it's Pollard over Devontae and Mostert. Maybe it's Devontae over Pollard. If this is a full PPR league, let's do this one. I play Pollard and Devontae over Mostert, though. I think both these tight ends should be started in that scoring format. It's going to be Adams. Yeah, it's Adams. Start Adams over Pollard. Connor or Chandler? Thanks, Sam. I got you. Hazim. Connor or Chandler? Yeah, it's Chandler over Connor. Geno or Mayfield? It's Mayfield over Geno for sure. I'm playing JT over ETN. Yep. In PPR, I'm playing JT over ETN. I like ETN a lot too. Dak or Fields without DJ Moore stack. Oh, gosh. Preston. It's super close. Like, go to the QB rankings here. I got Dak ahead of Fields. I think Fields is safer than Dak. The rushing for Fields, I really see a huge rushing game coming from Fields against a bad Cardinals defense. But Dak's in the highest projected scoring game of the week. Baker or Flacco, DraftKings? Yeah, It's Baker. It's Baker against the Jags. I got Baker one spot ahead of Flacco. Goff or Purdy this week? Yeah, it's Purdy over Goff. Appreciate it as always, Sam. See you next week for the finals. Absolutely. Bench 1 PPR. Ayuk, Brees, Achane, or K9. Bench Brees. Bench Brees here. Play Achane over Brees. Hall, Mostert, Walker, or Waddle PPR. I think I'd go the last two here. Walker and Waddle over Hall and Mostert. I'm playing Adams over Ridley. I do like Ridley this week, but not more than Devontae Adams. I'm in the semis and need your help. Pick one. Beer or scotch? I think I would lean towards beer. It's just a safer floor here than scotch. Like scotch can be really gross. It takes a little bit more, to numb your mind. If that's your goal, though, like if that's the goal, maybe you do go with the scotch. All right. Also, Chandler or Ayuka the Bazooka at flex standard. Oh God, standard league, Robbie. I feel your pain now, man. Like standard league, I think you got to start Chandler here in a standard league. First of all, standard leagues, they're the worst, man. Like PPR is just so much more fun, so much less brutal than standard. In a standard non-PPR league, oh man, yeah, it's Chandler. It's got to be Chandler, man. He's going to get close to 20 touches. Like when it comes to standard leagues, you just play the guys that get the most touches because receptions mean nothing. Like they don't mean nothing. They're still a little bit more valuable than carries, but like not by that nearly as much, of course. Purdy or Pat McBust? Yeah, it's Pat Mabust. Pat Mabust needs to be started then over Purdy for sure. I really think it's going to be funny. I was getting Pat Mahomes in the daily drafts I do on Sleeper. My favorite DFS game, by the way, this year, not even close, has been the Sleeper daily drafts. And Mahomes is going in the last round of these Sleeper daily drafts. We're in week 16 here, and we're seeing guys like Kyler Murray, got picked over Pat Mahomes. We have not seen a game over 21 points from Patrick Mahomes since week 7 against the Chargers. He looked great last week, though, against the Pats. A pretty good Pats defense. Mahomes played very well. 27 completions on 37 attempts, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions also. At least one of those was not his fault. I would not be shocked to see a huge Mahomes game. And Purdy gets the Ravens, man. I think that the Raiders defense is much easier than the Ravens. I'm going Mahomes. Sam, have a great Christmas. Enjoy the holiday. See you Thursday, Kylo. You as well. Everyone have a fantastic holiday. All right, let's go back to these TikTok Live subscriber comments. Eagles, Commanders, Texans defense. Yeah, I think you go Eagles defense against the Giants. Start to JT, Zeke, Jacobs. Yeah, it's JT and Zeke. Start JT and Zeke for sure. They are both 2 of my favorite options this week. I am not scared to start Bijan Robinson. I'm not afraid of it. I get it's a little bit nerve-wracking after a 0.4 point performance. Not a lot of points, guys, from Bijan last week. Aaron Jones in a good matchup, but Bijan's in a good matchup too. I'm still on standard. Let me switch back to PPR for all the sane people out there. Aaron Jones gets a slight bump here in PPR. AJ Dillon's back this week. I'm playing Bijan over Aaron Jones. I'm going to disagree with this one slightly. I think I'd go Bijan over Aaron Jones. I really think I think Bijan's going to bounce back this week. Ridley, Barkley, or Ingram for flex. PPR, I have Hawk as my tight end. I think I would play. This one's actually a tough call. It might be Saquon. I think I would play Ridley over Ingram. Ingram's maybe been more consistent, though, than Ridley this season. And I do like both them. But then Saquon, let's do this. Yeah, it's Saquon. Yeah, and Walter agrees with me here, too, on Ridley over Ingram. Reed or Sutton? So Jaden Reed's out. So, yeah, Sutton. Easy Sutton there. Get Reed out of your lineups. He's not playing. Samuel, Herbert, Roshan, PPR. I like Roshan more than Herbert. I think I'd go Roshan here. I don't love Curtis Samuel against the Jets. Gabe, thanks for subscribing, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, Jaden Reed is out, so you got to start Courtland Sutton for sure. Pacheco or Brees Hall? It's Pacheco. Samster, Russell Wilson or Trevor Lawrence at QB1? Got to go Trevor Lawrence here. Do not trust Russell Wilson against the Pats. I definitely like Trevor Lawrence a lot. Over under half a rushing yard. Yeah, Max, man, this is the stuff that's just like, I mean, your guess is as good as mine here on this one. I think let's pull up the rushing numbers here for Goff. Yeah, I'd go under. He's been under in 3 straight games. He's had more negative games than positive games in his last 5 or 6. His last 7 games, he's had more negative rushing yard games than positive rushing yard games. Wide receiver rankings, please. Yeah, Lucas, I got you with the wide receiver rankings. I'll go to the wide receiver tiers here on the TikTok live as well. Appreciate you guys doing the TikTok live subscription as always. Luis, man, thanks, man. I really do appreciate it. I will get to 100% of the TikTok live subscriber comments. All right, Goff or Baker? Oh, man, I think it's Baker over Goff. I don't feel great doing that after Goff was QB1 last week. But guess who was QB2 last week? It was Baker. This is QB1 and QB2 from last week. We got Jared Goff coming off a huge game, 31 points against the Broncos. He gets a matchup versus the Vikings, but Baker's in a potential shootout here against the Jags. He's coming off a 29-point game against the Packers. My QB rankings, I think, actually had Goff ahead of Baker. It's Goff. It's got to be Goff over Baker. It's super, super close, though, as you can tell. Baker has a lower boom percentage. I think Baker's just a little sketchier to me than Goff is. Like, I just have more faith in the Lions offense than I do the Bucs offense. All right, what's your thoughts on Montgomery with Pittman out? I don't think Pittman being out changes. Different Montgomery here than my mind went to. I haven't seen any, what's his full name? I think David or DJ Montgomery. This is a really deep sleeper here, but DJ Montgomery, kind of interesting that you bring this up. 62% snap share for DJ Montgomery with, this is what I'm saying. A lot of people asking, Josh Downs. Do I start him this week with Pittman out? And I really don't think you do, because last week, what did we see when Pittman went down? It was not Josh Downs who stepped up. Josh Downs actually only played 59% of snaps. DJ Montgomery played more than Josh Downs last week, and he did better. He had 4 targets, 2 catches, 48 yards, and he scored a touchdown, 12.8 points. He's a super deep sleeper. I don't trust DJ Montgomery by any means, but it feels like DJ Montgomery and Alec Pierce are going to fill that Pittman role a little bit more than Josh Downs is. Achane or Barkley? I'm going Achane over Barkley. I'm playing Demario Douglas over Noah Brown. No thank you to Noah Brown against the Browns with Case Keenum throwing him the ball. I'm going Douglas over Noah Brown. I'm playing Roschon over Noah Brown. Hex, man, thanks for the TikTok live subscription. I do think Roschon Johnson very much in play this week. I think he's a very interesting sleeper. He, at a minimum, Roschon Johnson is going to be the primary receiving back for the Bears today. He gets a great matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals have been a terrible defense, guys. The Cardinals are arguably the worst team in the league just across the board. Like, the Pats have the worst offense, but the Pats at least have a semblance of a defense. The Cardinals don't, man. 41 points to Christian McCaffrey last week. We saw Corinne Williams pop off for 38 points. McCaffrey had 5 catches for 72 yards. Corinne Williams, when he played them, 6 catches for 61 yards. Jerome Ford had 5 catches, 33 yards. Like, they've given up some big receiving days to running backs too. McCaffrey, guys, against the Cardinals this season has a combined 90 points. He's played the Cardinals twice, and McCaffrey has 90 points against the Cardinals. Absolutely ridiculous. McCaffrey has more points against the Arizona Cardinals than most running backs have this season. I mean, ridiculous stuff there. But yeah, I think that Roschon Johnson is in play for sure. Henry Chandler. Yeah, I play Ty Chandler, though, still over Roschon. Henry Chandler, Elliott, Achane, Connor pick 2. Yeah, so this one's definitely Achane and Elliott. I'm playing Achane and Elliott over Chandler. I'm playing Achane and Elliott over Derrick Henry. I'm playing Achane and Elliott over James Conner as well. I think that one's pretty straightforward, honestly. I think Chandler's a landmine. I think he has some serious bust potential. Hey, Sam. Been here since you started the live. Seriously, man, thank you. I appreciate you. I know we've been grinding 2.5 hours. I know I don't get to all the starts. I appreciate you sticking around. Jacobs, Connor, Nico, Ayuk, half PPR. Yes, if you've been here from the beginning, we've talked about these guys a lot. I definitely think Ayuk's got to be started here. Let's do Nico, Connor, and Jacobs, though, next. Nico, James Conner. I have not told a lot of people to start James Conner. I don't really love his matchup against the Bears. Their defense has been good. Jacobs is like a big question mark here. He hasn't gotten a full practice in this week. So it's Nico, man. Even though he's catching passes from Case Keenum, even though he's playing against the Browns, it's Nico Collins and Ayuk. Half PPR. Oh, let's change it, though. That might actually change this answer. Oh, God, it does. It's Jacobs. Go Jacobs and Ayuk. Jacobs and Ayuk over James Conner and Nico in a half PPR league. This is why the scoring settings matter so much. And Njoku or Ingram, it's got to be Njoku. Let's go to the tight end tiers here. Got to be Njoku over Ingram. I like both them, but Njoku is a more elite option. I'm not starting Ty Chandler over Devontae Adams. I get being scared of Snead. People don't play man coverage, like shadow coverage as much as you think, though. I definitely go Adams over Ty Chandler. Ridley, Addison, Waddle, Sutton, or Brees, and what's the lock for the day? Yeah, I got you with the lock of the day in just 2 seconds. Ridley, Addison, Waddle, Sutton, or Brees. Pick 3 here. Bench Sutton and bench Brees. Play the first 3. Play Ridley, Addison, and Waddle. Really high ceilings there. Okay, and then the free player prop of the day is a lock today. Let's get it, Sam. Enrique, let's win our leagues. That's what I'm talking about, man. We got a free player prop for you today, or I do. We're 25-11 on the free player props on these live streams. Dalvin Cook under 17.5 rushing yards. He had 4 yards last week on 1 carry. The week before that, he had 13 yards on 7 carries. Israel Abikanda is not only better than Dalvin Cook, but he's playing ahead of Dalvin Cook already, as is Breece Hall. There's just no reason at this point in the season for Dalvin to be playing. I really like this under a lot for Dalvin. Can I pull up wide receiver ranks? Yep, I got you with the wide receiver rankings list on the TikTok live. I got the running backs up right now on the YouTube live. We're getting towards the end of the live stream. Thoughts on Tyreek? Yeah, man, I do have Tyreek thoughts. I think that Tyreek has a very real shot to break the all-time receiving record. And I'm excited about that. We need a big Tyreek game, though, for it to stay in reach. Any weather updates? Yes, we have some good weather updates today. There's no concerning weather today. Literally not an ounce of concerning weather. We might see like a couple drops of rain, like a little bit of precipitation, but 0 things that are going to impact the game at all in any game this whole week, exactly how I would want it in the fantasy football playoffs. Weather is not going to be at play today, which is great, or tomorrow. Morning, Sam. Got to buy the first week with you and the app. Andrew, let's go. I got to buy in one of my leagues too. And I went against James Cook, Deontay Johnson, and Chase Brown last night. So that was a great start for me. 2 questions, Lamar or Purdy? It's Lamar. You got to go Lamar over Purdy. This is obviously a decision for tomorrow night, but it's Lamar with the rushing. And then DJ Moore, Gibbs, Achane, or Mike Evans in full PPR. I think you got to go DJ Moore in full PPR. I really, really like Achane today. I think Evans has a really high ceiling too. All these guys are good options. But Gibbs is a better option than Achane is. And DJ Moore is the best. Yeah. PPR wise, it's going to be, oh, wow, it's Gibbs. Oh, this is half PPR. Let's switch this to PPR. It's almost definitely going to be DJ Moore. Yeah, it's DJ Moore. The games with Justin Fields, DJ Moore is a top 10 wide receiver this year in fantasy, and he gets a good spot here against the Cardinals. Yeah, I can go back to start sits. I got you. Yeah, good defense to add. So my favorite defenses this week. I like the Eagles defense. I like the Broncos defense a lot. I like the Chiefs defense a lot. Those are the top 3. Broncos, Chiefs, Eagles. I think I'd probably rank those guys. Broncos number 1, Eagles number 2, Chiefs number 3. I think there's an argument for Chiefs over Eagles. If you can't get those, I like the Bears defense a lot. I like the Jets defense too. I think they're a sleeper defense. I'm playing Garrett Wilson over Nico Collins. They both are catching passes from horrible quarterbacks, but Garrett Wilson is the better matchup of the 2. Pacheco, Gibbs, Walker. I think you got to go Gibbs. Pacheco and Walker, I like too. Pacheco ranks better here. So does Walker. Oh my gosh. It's Pacheco against the Raiders. He's got the best matchup of the group. Yep, it's not even close. The Gibbs and Walker, they're up against top 10 run defenses. Pacheco's against a horrible Raiders defense. Pacheco without McKinnon too. Touchdown ceilings there. Pacheco went over 20 points in both of his last 2 games that we saw him. Like, it's a little scary coming off the shoulder injury. He had surgery on his shoulder like 3 weeks ago. So I do worry a little bit about like re-injury risk there for Pacheco, but yeah, he's better. He's better. I'd go Pacheco. Hey man, happy holidays. Happy holidays to you. A Merry Christmas Eve to all those who celebrate. Happy holidays to all of those who don't. It's a fantastic day to have a day. All right, Hubbard, Cooper, Monty at flex PPR. I'm starting Gibbs at running back. All season, man, Andrew, all season, I have loved the Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery double stack. It's one of the safest stacks. Like, they are going to combine for 30 points almost every week. Last week, they combined for over 30 points. Like it's one of those perfect scenarios where both guys can do well, but also if one guy doesn't do well, it's probably the other guy benefiting like very directly. So yeah, I'm fine with the Monty Gibbs double stack here. I like it a lot. I play Monty and Gibbs together if you can. Godwin or Brees? I would go Godwin. Yep, I'd go Godwin over Brees for sure. Godwin has 23 targets, I think, in his last 2 games. And he gets the Jags. Like the Jags are not a bad matchup at all for Godwin today. I would definitely go Godwin over Priest. I would start Chandler over Wicks. I would start Chandler over Wicks. I'm a little scared about Chandler against the Lions. The Lions held Javonte Williams to 4 points last week, but I'm more scared about Wicks, I think, against the Panthers, who have not been very good for passing offenses. All right, 2 questions. Adams, Jacobs, Singletary, standard points. Yeah, I'm going Adams over Amari and PPR. And in standard, I think you play the running back. Like play the running backs. Like in standard leagues, the running backs are so overpowered versus the receivers. The receptions mean nothing. They mean not. All that matters is touchdowns in standard leagues, and the running backs should have higher touchdown ceilings. Thielen, Wicks, or OBJ. Gosh, I don't like this one at all. I want none of these guys. I think it's Wicks. I think the answer here is Wicks. Yeah, it's Wicks. Got to go Wicks here. Madison is also active for all Chandler owners. Yeah, Madison is active. Doesn't change sort of my take on Chandler at all. Like he's a landmine with or without Madison because of the matchup, not because Madison's going to steal work. Madison's going to be well behind Chandler, I think, in terms of touches. All right, guys, that's my time. We got kickoff in 30 minutes. Again, if I didn't get to your start sit, like D-Hop versus Godwin, the Walter Picks app's perfect to answer start sit questions like this. Hopkins and Godwin. I think the answer here is Hopkins over Godwin, but I could see a good argument, honestly, for Godwin over Hopkins. I'm going Hopkins over Godwin personally. That's my time, guys. Merry Christmas Eve to all who celebrate. Happy holidays to all who don't. Time is the most valuable thing we have. Thanks for spending some time with me today, guys. I appreciate you all. I'll be back live Thursday night, back live Sunday morning. I'm going Aaron Jones over Swift pretty easily. I'm playing Godwin over Sutton also pretty easily, and this one's Jerome Ford over London and Noah Brown. The app is in the YouTube description. It's in the TikTok bio. It's in the YouTube description. It's in the TikTok bio. It's free on the App Store. It's called Walter Picks. Have a good one, guys. Good luck, everyone, and happy holidays.